What's up, witches? Surprise day stream. I just got the bad news. Saget is dead. Super depressing. So, I'm off work today, and I'm going to spend remembering Bob Saget. We're going to listen to many episodes of his podcast as we can listen to, going in chronological order from most recent to back to the beginning. So we'll be going backwards in chronological order so we can listen to what he did before he died, all the way down to as far as I can go. And I'll be listening and remembering Bob Saget while remembering my childhood and playing the games that I played at the time. When parents used to have Full House on in the background, or when I was in college and I used to have his stand-up. I'd play video games, so try not to get emotional. Just sit back, relive my childhood, and remember one of the greats. Helped make me who I am today. So much of my own comedy and can't not pay respect. So that's why there's no music playing right now on the stream. Fire up his podcast. I'm already kind of part of the way through one episode.
He just tried to, even if he was never going to have that guest back, he tried to make them look great. great for that time. And that's something that we see it a few times. There's a few people that do that now.
Who does that best, do you think?
I think Jimmy Kimmel won't lead. Well, Jimmy Fallon does ingratiate no matter what. He's a cheerleader to make you.
And there we go. We're going to listen to some Bob Saget
Feel
podcast.
great about yourself.
Real stream. I probably won't talk much as I'll just be enjoying this, but
I think
Final Fantasy VII, nice relaxing game to start with.
Match with you unless you're doing it with him, and then he's doing it cheerily out of fun. But this everybody's good.
Everybody's, because if they weren't, they wouldn't still be doing it.
Yeah,
being gracious is so important to the audience enjoying it, right?
You've changed. You've grown up so good. That's not well to raised, not to sound condescending.
Well raised.
I'm just 65. Who's gonna raise Dad?
Hey, maybe it's time for a reboot, Bob.
I think it's gonna be simple.
Are we gonna reboot Raising Dad?
Kat Dennings and Brie Larson are dying to play my daughters.
Yes, I think we'll get that cast together for sure.
I can't do it. I'm not in the Marvel universe. It ain't gonna happen.
And they're clamoring.
Andy Kindler, his fan base, they are going.
Yeah,
they're dying for it. Is there anything you wanted to discuss that just is on your mind at the moment? I mean, we're coming off of a year. You're a deep thinker. You just are. You're a compassionate person. You have a huge heart. Let's
talk more about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Because you do, and that's what I knew it right away, and that's what people can see in your eyes. That's what the eye thing is. That's why Robert Klein told you you'd be a good silent film star.
Yeah. You're so smart. Now shut the fuck up.
Here's a guy that's entire living is verbal.
Yeah. No, I think I would like that. I'd like to shut the fuck up for a bit. Yeah. What else should we?
Well, what I was getting toward was, you're holding a mirror up with the work you've been doing on your own. You always have.
Zoom screen.
I'm sorry?
And with the Zoom screen.
Zoom is like, next time you're on this podcast, which will be whenever you want. It's an open invitation.
2065. Yeah.
Well, it'll be a good one. It won't be Zoom.
Can we do next week?
Yes.
I'll do it. Good for you?
Yeah. I'll be hopefully on vacation if I don't test negative. Oh, no, I do. Oh, darn it. I want COVID. Why did I say that?
Yeah.
I gave away my secret.
Yeah.
You want to get out of a trip with your family so bad that you infect yourself.
That's a funny plot. That's for the Raising Dad reboot.
That's the opening of it. And I crowd surfed to tell my kid that.
Yep.
So I would think you'd have desire, and you've done it. You affected me emotionally with a couple of those shows. Your acting's always true to form. You're a very sympathetic character as an actor. But as a writer, do you have, and as a director, do you have desire to tell a love story? Do you want to do a romantic comedy of sorts? Do you want to do something historical? Is there something you can tell us about that someone could steal the premise for, and then they would feed you to it?
I would really love to just try to make things that are original. So many things, aside from the Raising Dad reboot, so many things are rehashes. And I guess in a way, those are classic stories. I don't know what I want to do, Bob. I think I want to do, my favorite form of writing ever was when I was in 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th grade. And I would write funny things in class, and I would slide them over to my friends and just watch their faces and see if they laughed. That to me is the purest form of writing. It's writing for your peers, for the kids sitting next to you. See if you can make them laugh. And what I want to do, whether it's comedy or not, is write something that the kid sitting next to me, as it were, is like, thank you. This is fun. So whether that's something romantic or funny or dramatic or whatever.
I have a feeling it might be all of the above.
I just don't ever want to write for the teacher, and I feel like a lot of people in our business, they want the award. They want the acclaim. They want to shoot only a master shot. In their indie film. So critics think it was so elegant and spare, and audiences think, get me out of this theater. I want to write for the kid sitting next to me and challenge myself always to make something that people really like, and they're like, thanks, man. Because that was my value, I felt as a kid, and why I always worked so hard at writing in particular, is I felt I wasn't a popular kid in particular. I wasn't bullied either, but I wasn't a popular kid. But my entree when I wrote the senior show in high school, that was the coolest I ever was. A kid came up to me in the cafeteria and said, "They say you're the one to write the senior show." And I was like, "Oh my God, I will serve the populace. This is my role. I got to deliver. The popular kids want me to write something for them, and I got to do it." And so to me, that was always my calling in a sense, is this is where I can add value. And so for me, that's whatever I do, I want people to be like, "Oh, I'm so glad BJ made a show because I like it," or a movie. So just whatever that is, I always want to challenge myself to not sell out in terms of credibility and make something that might get praised or might seem important or whatever. It's just always, and I think The Office, which was not my show, it was Greg Daniels' show, but that show delivered. That was funny, and it was romantic, and it wasn't for the critics. And it won a couple things, it didn't win much. Now it's considered, a really great show of the past 10, 20 years, but it didn't win very much. It was just funny. So that's what I want to do, Bob. I want to do stuff that people are grateful for, that doesn't win awards. Honestly.
I think you're going to have a lot of things happen that are going to be delightful surprises, and they'll be nice accolades, but I know you're going to be able to make that one person laugh, but multitudes.
It'll be you in the wings.
I will so laugh
hanging a
all
monitor
the time. That's what Twitter started out to be. I was so excited when it started because I was like, oh, I'll do this. Oh, a kid, he's 16, he's walking to his car. I'm going to write a joke about my penis. And it's nothing too dirty. It's just a silly little dick joke. And the guy laughs, starts his car, and goes home. And that's not what it is now.
Mm-hmm.
It's turned into a UFC match.
Yeah. No, it is. It's a dangerous place. I have a friend who just joined. She's like, "Should I get on Twitter?" I was like, "That's like asking, should I start smoking?" Like, stay away if you can. We're all addicted.
Well, BJ, I just love you so much.
Likewise. Thanks for giving us a chance to talk.
Yeah, thanks for doing it. And I can't wait to get all your notes of all the things I'm going to remove.
Yeah.
I don't think there's going to be much. I did want to say something that I read. Oh no, length is nothing in my home because my wife is, she took a bullet. I'm not saying the size of a bullet, but I am saying that the book with no pictures is awesome. And when you did it,
it was written for your level, Bob.
it is the non-Harvard type of man. It is really brilliant. It's and I was so happy that there you go. There's success. Bestseller list for a long time.
Yeah.
How long was it up there? Still
It
there.
was #1 for 34 weeks, which is amazing. And the funnest thing about that is it's technically in the picture book category, because for the age group, et cetera. So New York Times picture books, #1, the book with no pictures. It feels
so great.
It's like, yeah, even a kid would get that. That's funny. But that's a perfect example of, I think, what I most want to do, which is I wrote that to crack a 5-year-old up. I did not think, oh, what would sell well? What would win Caldecott? I'm like, what's a book that a fucking 5-year-old would find fucking hilarious?
Right.
And I wrote for a kid. And I think that's that's the way. That's the way.
And then in the sequel that you did in 2019, I love that because you let them fill in the blanks. You're getting them to be creative.
Exactly. No work for me, right? Your
No,
own
that's really, you wrote even less. It's just
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Yeah. No pictures and half the words. Well, thank you, Bob. I'm
I
glad
love
got
you.
to you.
Happy New Year. And let's see each other really soon. Right, like soon, like right after.
Yeah, if you still want to be infected, let's go run out to Miami for a
I
minute.
will have already gone on a vacation right before this moment,
Great.
where I probably have it right now.
Okay, great.
I don't now.
I'm glad
but
we're
I
on
do.
Zoom. Yeah.
Well, take care. Give my love to
Okay.
everybody that
All right.
that likes me.
Yep. I'll call myself right now. All right. Thanks, Bob. Bye.
Love you. That is BJ Novak. He never said the word Harvard. I did it. It's all my fault. He didn't even go there. He went to a mail order school. He was homeschooled. BJ Novak is one of my favorite people. And I do want to apologize for not having him on the podcast sooner. It's my fault. Everything's my fault, literally. He's one of the smartest and funniest people I know. And just watch all things BJ as they unfold, because he is an artist and a writer, and you know what he is. You just listen to the podcast. So that's my buddy. I'm older than him. It's so weird to me because I don't feel it when I talk to him, and yet when I go back through the history, I forget that I kind of parented him. Said, hey, I'm gonna be like a dad to you. Let's go to the Spider Club, Spider Room. I don't know what it was, but it ain't there no more. Anyway, wishing you guys a really happy New Year. Happy 2022. Please stay healthy. Do what you can. Even if you don't believe in certain scientific things, just do them. You know, don't do what Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde did. That, poor Dr. Jekyll drank that shit and turned into a hairy beast. Don't do that. But if you have any part of you that's willing to get a vaccine, I would just get it. I'm telling you, I get 10 to 20 a day. It's always good to turn somebody off at the end of the podcast. But I don't think it's anything, it ain't political, people. It's just take care of yourselves. And I don't preach this. I'm just saying I want you well. And I want the people that you love well. And if that's what you want, then good. But if it's not what you want, then do what you want. I'm not against you doing what you want, as long as you're not getting my clothes dirty. So I'm wishing you guys really happy and healthy New Year, because we're in 2022. That's what's happening here. I'm sending you so much goodness and so much positive energy. And I'm in that mood today. It's real, genuine, positive energy. Lots of love. And here come the plugs. You know what to do. I'm on tour. I am on tour hardcore. I'm playing every nook and cranny that is allowable right now, because there's so many jurisdictions that don't allow theaters to work at capacity or to be open. And then a lot of them are just booked, and I wanted to get out there. So I'm playing a bunch of theaters, a bunch of clubs, a bunch of places, and I'm going to keep doing it, and I'm going to have a special come out of it that's going to be different than anything I've ever done. And I hope you like it when I do it and you see it. I hope you see it. Okay, then, go to bobsaget.com for dates. Sending you guys a lot of good help and all nice stuff. And next week's episode will be there. Guest might be BJ Novak. It seemed like it should happen. Do what you do, rate, review, subscribe. You can get this podcast where you get all your podcasts. You know where it is. It's everywhere, apparently. And it's on the YouTube page, youtube.com/Bob Saget. That's me. BJ Novak. Just go there. Go through the world of BJ Novak. Do a deep dive on stuff that he's done. Watch The Premise, FX Hulu. It's I know they're putting every company together. I watch it on the Hulu, and I don't think it's called the Hulu. I think Letterman invented putting the before everything, the TV. But anyway, or Norm, I don't know. I don't know who's older. You know the drill. Just take care of yourselves and enjoy BJ Novak, because he's going to have some real great entertainment for you in the future. He is he's a damn sweetheart. And okay. Boy, I lap up and down my guests, don't I? You know why? because I mean it, because I'm appreciative. I'm not some kiss ass, nose up your ass kind of person. A lot of asses in that paragraph. It wasn't even a paragraph. Okay, I'm gonna shut up. I didn't go to Harvard. All right, everybody, be well. Take it easy. Happy New Year.
Is something interfering with your happiness? Is something preventing you from achieving your goals? I've had a lot of roadblocks in my life and I've gotten through them. And a lot of times it's been with wonderful therapy. Sometimes people don't want to get therapy. They don't think it's for them. But I'm telling you, this can really be something that changes your life. BetterHelp will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist. You can connect in a safe and
What,
private
you mean today?
environment online.
Not
It's so
too long
convenient.
today.
You can start
In general,
communicating in under 48
I don't know, I lost
Send a
count.
message to
Long
your
time.
counselor anytime. You'll get timely and thoughtful responses. Plus, you can schedule weekly video or phone sessions, all without ever having to sit in an uncomfortable waiting room. I want you to start living a happier life today. And as a listener, you'll get 10% off your first month by visiting BetterHelp at betterhelp.com/Bob. Join over 1 million people who have taken charge of their mental health. Again, that's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Bob. Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. It's Robert Saget. It's Robert Saget's here, the French version of Bob Saget's here. This is a podcast. This podcast. Everybody has one, literally. All of you listening have a podcast. So this is just another one that hopefully entertains on my I guess my new brand of podcasting is listening. And then I'll throw something in that people say, I like it better when you listen. And I do listen, especially when I have a guest like I have today, Jason Alexander. I've known Jason a long time, but he's a sweet. He's got such a big heart. He's incredibly articulate about what he cares about. Wow.
Quit Warzone?
He's always doing stuff.
Why would you do that?
Play.
I'll pause while I'm talking. We are listening to Bob Saget's podcast today, as tribute to the great Bob Saget. No longer with us, sadly. But why would you quit Warzone?
Where the Roses on Broadway. He's working on that. He's got a new podcast coming out. I believe it's called
Podcast isn't loud enough.
Really? And that would be with Peter Tilden. And so you'll be able to hear that fairly soon. I think it's coming out in the next month or so. And I just love the man. And all I can tell you is he's about to come into my little Zoom room here. That's how we do things, right? Hey, do you want to Zoom? No, it's just us. Let's FaceTime. But that's not what this is. This is a podcast that you can watch on the YouTube page if you love a two-shot. It doesn't move. But that would be at youtube.com/Bob Saget. And of course, you can rate, review, and subscribe. You subscribe, and then you can listen. Or if you're on another thing, you can follow it and then listen. I'm very specific about this. And that's it. I really appreciate all of the kind words I've been getting from many of you. And very sweet stuff about losing Norm Macdonald. Let's hope we don't have to do any more of those eulogies, but life is what it is.
Fortunately, we do have to do another eulogy, Bob.
Send, lots of love. All his immediate family and to all of you that loved him. Because that one hurt. They all hurt, right? But it's good to have people that you love, so keep your friends close. And I've got one coming in right now who will warm your heart because he's a positive energy. Boy, do I sound cosmic. And 9 Perfect Strangers. We're here to love, but we are. And Jason Alexander is a man who has giant capacity
capacity for love. So please welcome, if you were, friend Jason.
Quit Warzone because when I was trying to catch up with all the Vanguard weapons, I was doing the contracts, you say, but I was getting killed by people with max level Vanguard weapons. And the thing is, I could not level them up. It's not that hard to level them up. What were you doing specifically? Active challenges. Oh, yeah, okay. So it's just telling. I mean, what were you doing to try to level it? I've had no problems leveling. I mean, part of it's just going to be playing smart. You're always going to have those no-lifers who have max level guns before you, and the ground loot helps. Like, if you can find a ground loot version of your weapon, pick that up and carry that around while you're leveling, as that'll help you fight back a little bit. And then just avoid people. Do the scavengers and the recons. Those are the two I would do. As many of those as I could possible. You know, put on an XP boost and then just do those. Just land on the edge of the map, focus on doing scavengers, and, you know, don't get mad if you get killed. Just focus on doing scavengers and recons to level your gun quickly. It took me no time to level up the new Vanguard weapons. And I don't own Vanguard. I'm doing it all through Warzone. I was doing that. Yeah, you're going to die a lot. I mean, that's the name of the game, man. Just don't let it frustrate you. When you get killed, just respawn somewhere else, you know. And just focus on doing your contracts and opening as many of those boxes as possible, because when you play plunder, play plunder so you can take your loadout in and specifically level the gun you want, and then just focus on doing scavengers and opening as many boxes as possible. Just looting as much shit as possible. Because just opening chest and plunder will give you XP for your weapon. Auto run feature? I want to always run. I don't want to walk around. I mean, it's like that every time they add new guns. They always feel OP at first, and then they buff them and nerf them and make adjustments. It's the same thing happened when Cold War launched. Everybody was using Cold War guns. I think they feel OP just because they're new. And you see more people using them, so you die to them more often, and it makes them feel OP. And then as they make adjustments and the new toy feeling wears off, people stop using them. And then they go back to what to the loadout they love. Whatever it is that their main is, and it all kind of dies out. I mean, Warzone's still the same. It's just a new map. A lot of it's just going to be getting used to that new map. There's a lot of improvements. Like, vaulting works a whole lot better now. I don't get stuck vaulting over shit anymore. You know, it's a lot of a little adjustment period. What's old feels new again, basically. But it's an adjustment, but it's still Warzone. You just got to be patient with it. Level up those guns. The leveling part is the most boring part. It's going to be boring until you've got the guns leveled up and you can, rock a fully kitted loadout. That's when Warzone's at its most fun, when you can rock a fully kitted loadout. That's got everything you want in it. That's got your gun of choice with your attachments of choice. The loadouts are the best part. And until you can level up your guns and get back to that point, yeah, it's going to be a little boring. The leveling process is boring. It's the thing I like the least about the game, is having to, every time there's a new update, new guns added, you have to stop what you're doing and level those guns. Especially if you're doing it in Warzone. You don't have, you know, obviously the fastest way to level Vanguard guns is to play Vanguard. But if you're not going to buy Vanguard, like I am not, then you got to do it in Warzone. So that's the part that I think is boring. What else is boring for you in it? Like, what's changed? What's boring now compared to before? Fortnite, but I have to say I went to Fortnite. I'll tell you all the reasons off for. Oh, I fucking hate Fortnite. I cannot stand the way the guns work in that game. I can't stand the way that it's over the shoulder camera always puts your character like in the middle of the screen, so they're blocking the crosshair. The guns just feel inaccurate. Like the gunplay in that game is fucking horrendous. And I'm not good at building either. Like I'm just nothing about Fortnite is enticing to me at all. I like all of the things Fortnite did for the industry. Fortnite made crossplay the standard. Fortnite made battle passes standard instead of loot boxes. Like Fortnite's done a lot of good things. But actually playing the game, I hate. I like that the game exists. I want it to do well. And I like all the other stuff it's done. But actually playing the game, I hate it. I absolutely fucking hate it. Nothing about that game that entices me. I have gone back to it several times and tried, and every time it's the same. They've added a few guns now that actually have crosshairs you can aim down, and they feel a little bit better. But it's still Fortnite. You know, they still shoot the same. Yeah, I've always found Fortnite to be trash. The guns feel like feel like pea shooters. Like I can physically see the bullet leaving the gun. The bullet drop is horrendous. The guns are inaccurate. And on top of all that, when I finally get a feel for the guns and I start shooting at someone, there's nothing more frustrating than to get the jump on a guy and be shooting at him. And I'm beaming him down just like I would in Warzone. And all of a sudden, the fucking apartment complex pops up in front of him. I fucking hate the building. Like, I just hate that style of gameplay. Warzone has the best feeling guns of any BR game. Hands down. No contest. Even Apex's guns are hit and miss for me. Warzone has the best feeling shooting mechanics of any game. Well, I mean, if you're quitting the game because of sweaty people, then don't play any multiplayer shooter. Because once you reach that level, once you reach a certain level, like when you first start playing, you don't run into many sweaty people because you're playing against noobs. Once you rank up and you know, skill-based matchmaking starts putting you against people at your level. If you're a good player, you're gonna eventually start running into sweaty lobbies and sweaty people, and that's just all multiplayer games. That's Halo. That's Warzone. That's Apex. That's Fortnite. That's all of them. Any competitive shooter, you're gonna run into competitive people, and competitive people by nature are sweaty players. They take it seriously. I don't know. The leveling system in Warzone's not so bad. I much prefer that. It is light years beyond Apex Legends. I hate the leveling system in Apex Legends. I hate having to unlock individual fucking legends. I hate how slow the battle pass progresses. I hate that the battle pass has just nothing in it and how everything's done with loot boxes. Like, ugh, that's trash. A loot box based leveling system? Are you fucking kidding me? That's where all my goods come from? Same thing with Overwatch, man. Like, at least Warzone rewards you for your effort you put in. You know when you're going to unlock something. When I reach level, 22 in Warzone, I know for a fact I'm getting this. It's not like Apex where reach a level, get a loot box. Or, fucking Overwatch. Reach a level, get a loot box where you don't know what you're going to get. Fuck that. I don't want to gamble as a reward for leveling up. Yeah, well, I mean, everybody's selling out to Fortnite because money, but the leveling system in Warzone, it's not meant for matchmaking, it's meant for progression. Like, the levels don't mean shit when it comes to matchmaking. If you want to know how you're doing on matchmaking, you go to their website, you look at the lobby you're in, and find out what the average KD is in the lobby you're in. If you're in a lobby with a KD of, 2.0, yeah, you're going to have all sweaty players. Doesn't matter what level they are. If they're good enough to get the kills, they get matched with you. So that's how the skill-based matchmaking works. It works off skill, not player level. Anybody can level up. Just play a lot and you'll level up. Not everybody can get a KD of 2 and 3.0. So, go back to Bob. Wish I could turn the music off in this game so we could just.
Jason, this is our
Podcast.
first Blurred episode. I'm really excited.
Oh, it is very exciting. It's very exciting.
And Zoom, how do they make money? Do you pay for Zoom?
You pay for the premium Zoom, which allows you to go more than 45 minutes.
Oh, I've got that then.
Right?
Well, I go
you pay.
more than
You pay.
45.
You have
I
a business manager, and you like me have no idea what they're doing. I think
I
they're in Cancun right now.
They're gone. They're in Tulum.
Yeah.
Because you can't find them from Cancun.
The
you
Rock
look
can go anywhere he
wonderful.
wants to go.
You're
He's
very
a-
kind.
I know
free
from the
man.
waist down, we're both a mess.
He's not
but
under contract.
upward for
They
Zoom,
pay him enough money,
Nothing's
he'll
changed.
he'll guest star in
I can't blame that
Warzone.
on the pandemic.
Warzone got
that was a
John
plague
McClane and
before this
Rambo.
came.
Oh, I don't want to mention the pandemic because we don't know when this is going to run. Oh, my grandmother. What a world. What a world. And we haven't really connected. We've texted, and you're always a sweetheart. But,
Us.
oh, man, I can't say.
What have you been doing other than this?
I've been on tour doing stand-up.
You're a
which is-
brave man. I'm about to go out on a tour,
Right?
and I did my first audience last week in Portland, and it's a thing. It's a thing.
It is. I was up there last week also. I think a week and a half ago, Portland.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because we're living through history. So you see downtown.
But if
and
you're
you go,
playing battle
"So
royales
this is
based on
where
what
that happened,
celebrities they
this
get
is
to
where
appear in
that
them, then
happened."
you're playing battle royales for the wrong reason. You're
Wow.
picking that game for the
Okay.
wrong reason.
And, and they're working on. Everybody's working on.
Good game's a
trying
good
to
game. Doesn't matter if
dig
the
out of
Rock's
all
in it or
this.
not. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter if it's
What
got
else can we do?
fucking Rambo in it or
And
not.
what is the show? Are you back to that wonderful character?
No, you're so sweet. So no, you're talking about the Donnie Clay thing, which was a
Yeah.
purely theatrical
What's good?
stand-up show where
My
I played
man.
a very bad motivational.
Bob Saget tribute stream.
Really?
Yeah, Bob Saget fucking died, man.
Give a shit? I didn't even.
Yes,
know
I
he
give a
existed
shit.
until
I'm a huge Bob Saget fan. How do you not know Bob Saget exists?
I didn't even know he existed until yesterday.
I have no words for you right now. Fucking man. I suggest you go back and watch some of his old classic stand-up. Dude's fucking hilarious. Listen to his stand-up specials while playing classic games like this back in college. Reliving my college days here. I'm listening to his podcast while used to Bob Saget while playing classic games like this. I'm doing a classic stream, reliving my college days, listening to Bob's. Although the podcast is new, I'm listening to the last few episodes of his podcast. Death came out of nowhere. He had a podcast a week ago and a show the night before. He was on tour. Supposed to be doing more shows. And he had a podcast planned, like everything was going according to plan. Like he no signs of, bad health or anything. He had gigs, he had
Didn't have a
shows.
heart attack.
Yeah, they're thinking heart attack. Nothing's been confirmed yet. They're doing an autopsy, but they're thinking heart attack.
He was murdered. Dun dun
I mean, found him dead in his hotel room.
He died of Omicron.
I don't think he had corona. I think it was a heart attack.
I'm just being funny because I'm not sure. So, I just looked at my true achievements just to see which ones I got first. Apparently, my first achievement was in Doom for the Xbox 360.
Good place to start.
Yeah, I played a weird list of games.
He died on the 9th. But they're kind of... All of the news is reporting on it today. He died on the 9th. He did a show on the 8th, literally the night before he died, and they found him dead the next day. So he must have died sometime after that show when he went back to his hotel room.
I'm not gonna lie, I've known he's been dead for like 2 days. I just didn't know who he was.
Yeah, so he's... It's trending and being reported on now. I don't check Twitter like that, so I didn't know he was dead till today, but they're reporting on it now so heavily because the autopsy is... The first part of the autopsy is done. Like, they're still determining the cause of death, but they've ruled out corona and they've ruled out foul play. So that's basically why they're reporting. They want to let everybody know that he did not die of corona, despite what some people said. It's not foul play. He wasn't murdered. They've seen no signs of that. So they're thinking heart attack.
What the fuck? What an idiot. I hope that's fake.
What?
There's this tweet by this person named Butterscotch11. It's like, my son tested positive. My husband and I am in that ass. I even took the Xbox. Fucking, what is that? It's the dash.
Why
dash box.
Why are they taking
your ass in quarantine alone in that room? Don't come out unless it's in the bathroom. Only reason we didn't take the phone is so he could text for food and water.
I mean, it depends on why he tested positive. I can't immediately be mad at the parents for being mad, because if it's one of those they told him not to go somewhere that he'd have a good chance of catching it, and he did anyway, and then he caught it. Yeah, they're having an "I told you so" moment. So if he caught it just randomly, doing normal day-to-day stuff, he was doing everything he was supposed to be doing and still caught it, then okay, yeah, it's not his fault. But if your parents are like, don't you fucking go to that party, all those kids there aren't going to be wearing masks, that's so-and-so's party, just, this is stupid, don't go to this place, it's a super spreader event, a Coachella type thing. And he was like, fuck you, Mom, and he went anyway, and then he came home with corona. Yeah, well, we tried to warn you, dumbass.
So, you want to hear something interesting?
I should play Gang Beast.
Ew.
Gang Beast sounds like a porn, man. It sounds like a porno.
It basically is a porno. It's 4 dudes wrestling each other around a stage, trying to knock each other into a hole.
I mean, just tell her how things work. They get worried. Look, they get worried about jealousy and shit, and they assume that there's rules. Some couples have weird rules like that, like no kissing, no holding hands. Like they have weird shit like that. Like you're letting me do all this other stuff, but that's where you draw. Like, where do you draw the line? What are the rules? She doesn't. It's a respectful question. Obviously, if you got to have all those ridiculous rules, then why are you doing it to begin with? But yeah, some people play on Nintendo Switch. I'm playing the original PlayStation version. I'm trying to relive my youth right now. I do have Final Fantasy VII on the Switch, but I am playing the original PlayStation 1 version right now with a CRT filter on, so it looks like it's on a regular television. Trying to relive the way it looked in my youth when I used to play this game. Several other PS1 games used to play all those old classic games back when I was a kid. Back when I was in high school and college, and listen to Bob Saget stand up, or watch his specials. So we're listening to his podcast right now and playing some Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, gang base. It's basically a gay porno.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Gang Beast is not whatever you said it was. Sounds like. Sounds
It
like
is.
Gay, sounds like gay porno.
It's like 4 dudes grabbing each other, trying to throw each other in a hole.
Play Xbox Series S, Resident Evil Village. That was a good game. It wasn't as good as Resident Evil 7. I played that one. It was alright.
That game felt more like a setup game than anything.
They lean to they're redoing their past mistakes. They are leaning away from the horror element again and leaning more towards action, because that, like, the last hour of that game just turned into a straight up Michael Bay movie. Its title is sus, dude. We're not making it sus by its title. We're pointing out that that's a bad title. We're pointing out the fact that this game
It's a
has
bad
the same
title. It also, the gameplay is literally what I've described.
Yeah, we are describing the fact that its title sounds like the title to a gay porno. It's a joke. That's the joke. The game has a bad title.
I think that's kind of the joke, though. Like, I think it's kind of supposed
Oh
to.
shit, I didn't mean to.
Did you hear about the guy who played this game and got to, like, the max level in the first room?
How does he fucking play?
He played for, like, 3 years.
Why would you do that?
Because he was the only one to do it.
So pointless.
It's not. You get internet clout, and that's, like, for 2 days you get internet clout, so...
What's his name?
I don't remember his name.
Exactly.
Like I said, 2 days. 2 days.
Apparently it wasn't long enough. You can't even remember the dude's name. You get clout. Clout isn't when someone forgets your name.
Well, he also, the guy who actually did it also did it because this guy led people on for like a year and a half that he was gonna do it. And he's like, fuck you, dude. You ain't doing it. You ain't shown no progress in a year. You know what? I'm gonna fucking do it. And then he did. And so,
that is the dumbest. That is the dumbest reason to get into a pissing contest ever.
Exactly.
He has wasted 3 years of his life. Man has wasted 3 years of his life. If it was a sus game, it would not be on PlayStation. There are plenty of sus games on PlayStation, dude. There's straight up porn games on PlayStation. There's literally one called Bar Sextet. It's got the word sex in it. It's a bar where you pick up women and have sex with them. And that's on PlayStation. So yes, there are sus games on PlayStation. What the fuck are you talking about? But yeah, this is the original PlayStation version. I mean, I'm playing on an emulator. I don't have an original PlayStation anymore, but this is the original PlayStation version. No ports, no Steam version. I mean, I own the game on multiple platforms. I own it on Steam. I own it on Switch. I've bought this game multiple times. I own it on my mobile phone. But for the sake of this stream, I wanted to play the original. It's exactly what I'm doing.
Guess who just got fired today? Me. I got fired.
Why did you get fired?
Yeah, no call, no show twice.
Yeah, that'll do it.
I mean, I'm surprised they fired me over it, considering they don't have very many employees.
I mean, I can't blame them, man. What's the point in keeping an employee that doesn't show up?
Meh.
You don't exactly have an employee if you can't depend on them to show up. I get it. I get it. Yeah, well, that's the thing. When a game's title is sus, as you put it, it doesn't exactly make me want to play the game to see if it's not sus. Just the title is kind of everything. I don't need tutorials.
Yeah, it's one of those games that has weird controls with like clinging and shit.
I mean,
you
title
know,
title of your game.
objects.
The title of your game is important. If you had the most badass, first-person shooter ever, like could compete with Warzone type stuff, and then you named it Rainbow Furry Adventures, no one's gonna fucking play that shit. No one wants to tell their friends they're playing Rainbow Furry Adventures. Doesn't matter how good the game is. It's a bad name. It's a bad idea. Don't do it. Don't do it. Titles matter is what I'm saying. You know, if you had the most badass fighting game in the world and it could compete with Fighter Z and Street Fighter and Guilty Gear and you named it Cock Gobbler, no one wants to fucking play Cock Gobbler. Just saying, that's a bad name. That
Actually,
matters.
People might play it just because
For the memes, but it's not going to be a serious competitor, no matter how good the game is. No one wants to write articles about Cock Gobbler.
They just abbreviated it to CG. They just call it CG.
Yep, they would give it a
We
nickname
play
or
as
something.
CG.
Yep, you can't just your name of your game matters. You can't just name something stupid. Gang Beast.
He's look.
The
He's
fuck is
not
that?
saying that it's actually inappropriate. He's just saying that the title alone.
Yeah, I'm
It's
not
sus.
saying the game is bad. The game might be good. I don't know.
Yeah,
With a
it's
name
a good
like
game.
what I'm saying is, I have no interest in playing a game named Gang Beast. That sounds like a gay porn. Hey, that
gameplay
it
is a gay
sounds
porn.
it sounds like the kind of thing you don't want to ask your mom to buy for you at Christmas time. Mama, buy me Gang Beast. That's how little kids gonna fucking ask their mom for Gang Beast for Christmas. Oh shit. Okay. Fire and ice. Who needs- Let's give you fire and ice. Got lightning on ice. Coo. For some reason it's popular. Must not be too popular. I've never heard of it. In fact, let's find out how popular it is. We are going to go with the universal metric for how popular something is, and we're going to go right now to Twitch, and I'm going to search for Gang Beast and see how many viewers we got. Not a lot. Not a lot. There are less than 1,000 viewers for this entire game. Number one streams got half of that. Half of those viewers are just because one popular streamer's playing it. Everybody else has 10 to 12 viewers or less. So it's a smaller game.
It is an indie game.
Yeah, but just saying, there are indie games with much higher. Like, go look up. Like, I mean, there are plenty of indie games that are fucking killing it on Twitch. Go look up. I can guarantee you right now, Hades, indie game. How many viewers does it have? Let's look up.
Yeah, but the market is a completely different, like what they're going after.
Look up Dead Cells.
You're comparing two serious indie games to a joke indie game that's just meant for casual fun.
Okay. Looking at the screenshots of the game, it looks very similar to another indie game that is fucking dominating this one. Might have heard of it. A little game called Fall Guys. Pretty much same concept as this game. Knock people off of stuff. Run through an obstacle course. Even the art style looks the same. They're very similar, is what I'm saying.
No, I would not call them similar.
They
It's just
look very
appearance.
similar. I'm watching a stream of Gang Beast right now. It looks a lot like Fall Guys. Literally watching it right now. Looks very similar. It's not exactly the same. Similar though. The point is, I don't think Fall Guys would have become the runaway hit that it is if they named it Gang Beast instead of Fall Guys. Fall Guys, simple, gets the point across. You're running an obstacle course, people fall off of it. Those who don't fall off win. Simple concept, simple name, mission accomplished. Not popular on Twitch, it's popular on YouTube. Okay. And I just got an email about a job. Where is this job for? I noticed your resume. I thought I would reach out about our sales position. Nope, I don't do sales. What part of my resume thought I qualified for that fucking job? Delete. Minute he said sales, I was done. I was done with that message. I don't fucking do sales. No part of my resume shows I did sales. I got fucking 12 years of experience in IT. None of that says sales. That's what my resume says. I went to college for IT. I've been in IT for 12 years. What part of that says sales to you? You didn't even look at my resume. You're probably mass sending that email to everyone on Monster. Means you're desperate for salespeople. Hey, you want me to forward that to you? Wolf Waffle, you want to do a sales position from home? This company's apparently desperate.
I ain't that desperate.
I'm saying, you want to do sales at home, you can get on the phone and be that salesperson. Be an over-the-phone salesman.
Yeah, no.
Get to work from home.
There's a reason that nobody likes them. 90%
That
of
is
the
the
time they're
shittiest.
fucking scams.
That is the shittiest of shit jobs. Like, I would rather go back to work in the shit jobs I worked in college than do that. Like, I will go, bag groceries at a grocery store, push carts at Walmart before I go get some. I refuse. I'm not gonna do it. I hate having those conversations. I hate being that guy. Yeah, I'm not doing it. I'll go do some other fucking shit job before I do that. They're locking the train down.
I'm pretty sure I could get my job back though.
That bitch just robbed me.
I'm just gonna
Shit,
I'm just gonna call the store manager because she's been on COVID leave the whole time. I'm just gonna be real with her about it. She'll probably want me back.
I mean, if you got a good reason for your no call, no shows,
I mean,
and they fired you without her knowing, she may bring, she may not. But in all honesty, it's not that hard to find another job like that one. So who cares?
only reason I want it is because it's walking distance. That's all it is. That's the only reason I want that job.
Are there no other restaurants within walking distance?
Unless I want to work at fucking Papa John's, because Domino's doesn't want to hire me.
Oh, yeah, go to Papa John's.
No.
Same shit. Another easy job. Put the pizza in the oven, set the timer, pull it out, slice it up, done. Rinse and repeat for 8 hours. Boom, got yourself a job.
If it doesn't work, I will 100% do it, but I'm going to try to get my job back first.
Yeah, those are
Making
easy.
sandwiches is is easier than cooking a pizza.
Yeah. But just jobs like that are they're easy, boring jobs, and that's why I try to avoid them. I avoid them if I can, but I would do that job if I couldn't find nothing else because I got bills. But yeah, it's boring. Especially the pizza one. Like, I think sandwiches, it's a little more involved. Like, you have to actually physically make the sandwich and, you talk to people that are ordering them. It's a little more involved of a job. Pizza, You get the order, you put the toppings on the same way every time, put it in the oven, you set a timer, you pull it out, you slice it, you're done. That's boring. Most of your time's just waiting on the oven to cook it. I mean, you got a job like Subway or Jimmy John's. Each sandwich is a little bit different.
You'd probably like, if you wanted like the easiest piece of job, Little Caesars, dude. Some of them restaurants, they have pizza robots.
Easy isn't the problem for me. It's boring. I can't do a job where I'm going to be bored, because then my mind starts to wander and I stop trying, and then end up getting fired because I don't care anymore. It's boring. I need a job that's going to keep my attention, keep me busy. Like, that's why I couldn't be a people greeter at Walmart. That shit looks boring as fuck. I would just lose it. Yes, people greeter at Walmart. Easiest job on the fucking planet. You just stand there. But that's the problem with it. You just stand there.
I gave to literal, like, autistic people. Is
Um,
that not what they do?
That's
Like
where they
autistic people and people with disabilities who can't do other stuff.
Usually, yes, but they can't only give it to those people because discrimination law. So there are people who are, I've been in Walmarts where there's some college kid playing door greeter, some able-bodied young person who could be doing literally anything else, and they got him working the door. Stand there, and they look bored as fuck. That shit's boring as hell. I've had to do it. I've been a manager at Walmart and had the people greeter call out sick or something, and then I gotta stand there on the door until we found a replacement. That shit is boring as hell. I fucking hated it. I could not do that for 8 hours a day. That shit sucks balls.
I bet.
I mean, easy job. God damn, is it boring. And they want you to say hey to everybody that comes in, and actually greet them and shit, but they don't check on you because they don't care either. So you can literally just stand there. You don't have to talk to people. But it's boring. They won't notice if you don't do your job, like if you don't say hey to everybody. They won't notice if you don't do that, but they will notice if you pull out your phone. They will notice if you try to entertain yourself. So your job is to be bored. Just stand there.
To like check people's receipts or some shit.
Nope, they can't do that anymore. Walmart got in trouble for that shit. Yeah, they got in trouble for that shit. It's harassment.
Smith.
Yeah, it's harassment.
How is that harassment?
Because it's not against the law for them to walk out the door without a receipt. If they throw it away on the way to the door, they can. They have the right to. There's no law that says they have to show a receipt to leave the store. So when you're trying to detain people for not having one, you're harassing them. There's no law that says they have to keep their receipt after they buy something. And you've got a documented video record of them buying it. So why do they have to show the receipt on the way out the door? It's supposed to be a deterrent for theft. All it does is harass the innocent people that happened numerous times. There are a ton of people who would just go in and buy something simple and not give a shit about their receipt and throw it away before they ever hit the door. Like, they'll throw it away at the trash can next to the register and then just walk out. And if you stop them at the door for a receipt and they ain't got one and you try to detain them, because you can't legally detain them either, so what are you doing? Why are you even asking? You can't do anything about it if they don't have one. So what does it matter? You don't have, your people greeter at Walmart doesn't have a legal right to detain anybody. All you can do is call the cops and he can keep walking. It's a waste of everyone's time. A fucking waste of time. And Walmart itself knows this. That's why they got in trouble for it. Now, I used to get asked frequently while shopping at Walmart for my receipt, and I wouldn't have one. By design, Walmart would not give me a receipt. If you pay with Walmart's official app, if you can link a credit card to their app and pay with the app at the register. If you use the register app and pay at the register with the app, it doesn't print a paper receipt. It emails it to you. So I wouldn't have my receipt before I hit the door greeter. The email hadn't come through yet. I literally don't have one. And that's the company's fault. So why are you stopping me? It's harassment. All it does is harass me. And I've done everything right. I've done everything I'm supposed to do, including use the app that the company is pressing me to use as a customer. I'm using the thing you want me to use, and it didn't give me a receipt. So why are you stopping me to ask for a receipt? The company's contradicting itself. Yeah, it's harassment. So that's why they got in trouble, and they had to stop doing it. Because what little theft it does stop doesn't justify the sheer amount of people they harass on the way out the door every day. Not to mention that the receipts often have personal information on them. If someone's a Walmart card holder, it's going to have their name on it and their address. They shouldn't have to show that to a people greeter. Yeah, it does more harm than good. They shouldn't do it. So when I go shop at a Walmart, I will keep walking. I will not stop to show you a receipt. I don't have to, and I'm not going to. Simple as that. If you want to know if I bought it or not, go look at the camera. It'll show me going through the register and paying for it. I got too much shit to do today to stop and argue with a people greeter over a receipt for something that they know I paid for. You can go watch me paying for it on the camera. There's a cashier right over there. You can go ask if you don't want to pull up the camera. I can tell you, yeah, I went through lane number 3. Which is another reason why I won't do fucking self-checkout either. I mean, it's many reasons I won't do the self-checkout thing. The main reason being, I don't fucking work here. Why am I doing your job for you? I don't fucking work here. Why am I doing the cashier's job for them? I don't work here. And that is exactly what I'll tell them anytime they're like, well, you can use the self-checkout. You can go ring yourself up. And I'll be like, I'm not doing that. I don't work here. That's your job. You ring me up. I'm not doing that. Do I get a discount for doing your job for you? No? Then I'm not doing it. This is stupid. I'm not doing it. Then if a mistake is made, you get to blame it on me? And you don't have to take responsibility as a company for your machine fucking up? Nope. Not doing it. Let me get rung up by an actual person. So if that actual person makes a mistake or the price comes up wrong or something, it's their job to correct it, not my job to take the blame for it. Yep, there are several Walmarts that don't do the self-checkout. The one that I was a manager at for a while, they installed self-checkout while I was there, and they were going to use it. And most of the customers in our area just refused to use it. Like, no one was using it. They wasted time and money on it, and they never had enough cashiers because they said, oh, well, people are going to use the self-checkout. And people were going, no, I'm not using it. Like, people just wouldn't use it. So they ended up taking them out and going, never mind. People aren't going to use it, then we'll take them out. All it did was lead to harassment and problems. Because most people didn't use it, and when people did use it, a lot of people got falsely accused of trying to steal shit because they used a self-checkout and someone didn't see them ring something up, or, someone missed something on the receipt. Like, all it does is just place total blame on the customer for no reason. It just led to argument after argument. Get rid of that shit. Technology's not there yet.
I mean, it is, but only if you.
No, it didn't. No, it's not.
Apparently.
It's not there to tell if you paid for an item or not. You can easily pocket an item, and that machine's not going to stop you. and half the time it accuses you of trying to steal something when you're not. They're
Like I said, only if you're Amazon, because Amazon stores work better than the self-checkout.
Yeah, but that's because they don't use self-checkout. It all goes through the Amazon app that they already have. Amazon's got the technology. Walmart's self-checkout technology, it's not fucking there yet. Half the time you get people arguing with the self-checkout because you ring it up and it's like, please place item in the bagging area. And you're like, I don't want to put it in a bag. You're like, this item's too big. I don't want it in a bag. And if you don't put it in the bagging area, then the thing thinks you're trying to steal it. And, it's aggravating.
Why would it think you're trying to steal it for not putting it in the what? I don't.
Yep, that's how the machine works. Because it thinks what the machine thinks you've done, and the reason it flags it is it thinks that you rang up one item and then you put another item in the bagging area in its place. So it thinks you're trying to do a swap. Ring up a cheaper item and put a more expensive item in the bagging area. So it wants you to put every single item in the bagging area so it can monitor it. Only it doesn't monitor it very well, and it's a pain in the ass. There's no reason I need to put this 2-gallon jug of high C fruit punch in a fucking bag. It's got a handle on it. I'm just going to carry the jug fruit punch for my children. I don't need to put it in a bag. The bag won't hold it, but it tells me to put it in the bagging area anyway. Yeah, it's a pain in the ass. And I don't get paid enough to do it. And by that, I mean I'm getting paid nothing. I'm not getting a discount. I'm not getting any compensation for putting up with this headache. You have cashiers you literally pay to do this. They can do it. I'm not doing it. This is just a scam to get free labor. You're getting free labor out of your customers, and you're getting liability insurance, because now you're not responsible for things that happen. The customer's responsible because they did it themselves, so you don't have to worry about that either. Dumb. Super dumb. Don't do it. Bottom line here, rant over, don't use self-checkouts. You don't work for that company. You don't need them accusing you of stealing because they didn't see what you checked out. You know, because they can't see what you're doing. And if you put your hand in your pocket or do something suspicious while at the register, everyone's going to be on. Nope, you don't need the headache. You don't get paid to do it. Just avoid it. Make Walmart give its jobs back to human beings. There are a ton of people who need jobs. They can hire them. There's no reason you should have 30 checkout registers, and instead of, hiring more cashiers to run those registers, you install self things to make the customers do it. You are creating a solution to a problem you created. The reason the lines are long is because you didn't hire enough cashiers. So the solution isn't put the responsibility on the customer. The solution is hire more cashiers. Yeah, make them give jobs to people, not machines. Especially since the machines aren't there yet. This isn't fucking Jarvis ringing you up here. Okay, this isn't an intelligent thing. Hell, I don't even think it's on par with fucking Siri. It's not there yet. Escape from Midgar, get through this portion of the game, and then I'll switch games. Playing all the classic games from my youth. Let's turn back on the Bob Saget.
Donnie sort of played his way out. And Donnie was more of a show. It needed props, and it needed screens, and it needed all kinds of things. So, no, this show is it's kind of an organized Q&A show that needs no moderator. So it came from years of me being asked, for no godly reason, to be keynote speaker for different things. Organizations, charities, businesses, colleges. And I would go, in every case, I go, well, what do you want me to talk about? And sometimes they say, oh, your career, Seinfeld, whatever. But other times it was, well, we know you've done a lot of work in the Middle East as an activist, and you're political, or we know you wrote a children's book, or actually, you know what, we've been watching you play poker, and maybe there's something about. So whatever that was that they would ask me to do, I would prep that, and then you do the meet and greets after, and you'd always get, the whole world becomes Jewish on a meet and greet, because they all go, I had such a wonderful time, but you have such a lovely voice. I wish you had sung something. Or you didn't have to be so funny. I like the serious. Nobody was happy. So
and these are not Jewish
Overwatch
people.
tonight? Or
no, they just become Jewish on a meet and greet line.
What's that?
Are we doing Overwatch tonight since you didn't show up last night?
Yeah, my wife wasn't feeling well last night. She's fed today. So.
Well, that's good.
So she should be. Oh, he has no auto run on.
Sent the alternate to Nancy Walker.
That is correct.
That's a reference for no one listening.
Except Valerie Harper. The rest
She was,
and yeah.
Nancy Walker was brilliant. All right,
Yep.
please continue.
So what I did finally is I said, okay, here's like 25 things that people seem to be interested in. They each have a story. The story actually is a little bit of a life lesson for me, which might mean that it is impactful for the person hearing it. And I put them in the program. Here's the list. And I come out, I do an opening number, and I go, here's how this works. I don't want guilt anymore. I don't want to be disappointing people. So we're going to go around the room during the course of the night and look at the list. Some of them are funny, some of them are not. Some of them have songs, some of them, most do not. One is a magic thing, one is another thing, one is a thing. I'll call on you, you pick one. You can also ask me something that's not on the list. You can do that too. But at least you have a list, and we can get, depending on what they pick, we can get through anywhere from 4 to 8 of these things in 75 minutes. And if the night is great and everybody had a great time, I was really good. If they didn't have a great time, they picked the wrong stuff.
That's their fault.
That's how it works.
Right.
So and my wife's phone is going off. Not my phone, my wife's phone.
But why is your wife's phone right there? Is it a burner phone?
Now you've asked an important question. Because this phone, wherever my wife is, like a breadcrumb, the phone remains and she moves on. She will come in here in a moment to say, did you hear my phone? I guarantee you. Guarantee it.
And she's wonderful. You have a wonderful wife.
Which is why I can't say Schnei. I go, yes, sweetheart, here's your phone.
That's me calling. I call your wife up. Whoops.
It's all good.
Darn.
Yep.
So you're waiting for her right now to come for her phone.
I know. Actually, I think that was someone calling her. She has no idea. She has no idea that this is.
That's so interesting. My wife would never leave the phone like next to me.
She drops it.
Well, what if she goes somewhere? What if she's going somewhere? You want to be able to know where she is?
Many times, she'll stop by a friend and go, "Can I use your phone for a second?" To call me and go, "Do you have my phone?"
So she just forgets it.
She just forgets it. Yeah. Gosh,
which means if it's on your desk and you were sitting there, was she on your lap? Is that what was happening right before she left her phone?
Yes, she was. Yeah. Before I do a podcast, I like a little nookie. And
do you have any video? Can you add video? We'll just roll it in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it really helps with the YouTube hits. Oh, God in heaven. So you're always busy. What? Always. I mean, you're in the middle of a celebrity game show that's a fun one. Didn't you just do it?
It just aired. I did this. I did Celebrity Wheel of Fortune.
Right.
That was the thing. And it went well, and I did not think it would go well. There are game shows I do where I go, I'm going to crush this thing. And that was not one where I went in with confidence, but I did manage to do very well. So.
Right. I've done a couple, and I was I went in to do Match Game with Alec Baldwin,
Mhm.
and he is so nice to me. He goes, "Come on, you comedy genius," and that's the kiss of death. And I just
Right, of
sat
course.
there, and all of these people, Tom Lennon, they're just running circles around me, and I'm sitting there, and I just kind of like, I'm thinking to myself, I don't belong here.
Well, here's the problem with that game, and you must experience it too, because I know you being a man of the people, you're actually trying to help the contestant.
I
So
am.
there's the funny answer, which will make you look like a hero, and then there's the one they might have said.
Right.
And where do you go for? Do you sacrifice the funny one because it's an entertainment show in the guise of a game show? So do you ditch the funny stuff and try and match them, or do you go, hell with you, I'm here to be entertaining? It's an unknowable show, Match Game. That's why the pyramid was the perfect game.
Yes, it was. I never played that, and
Oh.
I was asked.
I killed on the pyramid.
Yes, you did.
I loved it.
You should have gotten an Emmy for that.
Listen,
Well, you should have-
we're
I
going
hate
to
to
start
say it.
making that list.
That list. So what happens to you every year? I mean, I knew Full House. I was never getting nothing. You know, video
sure.
show.
Yeah, of
I
course.
might
No
have
love.
had. They created a category for hosting the video show specifically after I left. Okay, this is a paid sponsorship brought to you by our wonderful sponsor, BetterHelp. Is something interfering with your happiness? Is something preventing you from achieving your goals? I've had a lot of roadblocks in my life, and I've gotten through them. And a lot of times it's been with wonderful therapy. Sometimes people don't want to get therapy. They don't think it's for them. But I'm telling you, this can really be something that can change your life. And BetterHelp is a sponsor that I'm so proud is one of our sponsors. And BetterHelp will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist. You can connect in a safe and private environment online. It's so convenient. You can start communicating in under 48 hours. It's not a crisis line. It's not self-help. It is professional counseling done securely online. Send a message to your counselor anytime. You'll get timely and thoughtful responses. Plus, you can schedule weekly video or phone sessions, all without ever having to sit in an uncomfortable waiting room. BetterHelp is committed to facilitating great therapist matches so they make it easy and free to change counselors if needed. Licensed professional counselors who are specialized in depression, stress, anxiety, relationships, sleeping, trauma, anger, family conflicts, LGBT matters, grief, self-esteem, and anything you share is confidential. I want you to start living a happier life today. And as a listener, you'll get 10% off your first month by visiting BetterHelp at betterhelp.com/Bob. Join over 1 million people who have taken charge of their mental health. Again, that's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Bob. But you had, was it 7? You Seinfeld?
I think it was 7 for Seinfeld and 1 for something else, a guest thing.
Now, every year.
Yeah.
I mean, the show's
And by the way, first award up. So 5 minutes into the show, you're a loser. Enjoy your evening.
And I mean, if you put all 7 clips together of you sitting there, is it just like, no? Are you thinking, or are you going, this could be cool? Because you're a hopeful person anyway, but we all know
there was one year where I thought this could happen. I think it was the 3rd time I was nominated. The first time I went, I don't think anybody's watching this show. I can't believe I'm here. The third time I was nominated, I had a very good season. There were a couple of really good episodes, and I'm sure one of them got submitted. I thought, yeah, that puts me in the running. But I forgot who I was up against, and I was always up against. And here's who beat me every time. It was either David Hyde Pierce on Frasier, who's glorious, or Michael Richards. And frankly, I don't know how Michael didn't win every year, because David Hyde Pierce is doing great funny work as an actor. I hopefully am doing great funny work as an actor. So are the 3 or 4 other guys nominated. Michael is doing something none of us are capable of doing. What he is doing is so specific and individual and unique. If you're going to give an award for being special, he's got to win. So, he did many times.
Well, there should be a special category.
Yeah, sure.
He should have been nominated for best entrances and exits. I mean,
Absolutely that. But Michael had this rare opportunity that he took enormous, beautiful advantage of to create a character that was more physicalized than almost anything else on television. So he,
right.
you know, when people speculate with me about why did Seinfeld become an international hit, I go, Kramer. It's the international comedy of physical comedy. I mean, he's a clown. He was a clown. He was Red Skelton. And so I think he was our entree to the international market.
I think you're being not kind enough to yourself and to everybody. I mean, that truly was. You could not do that show without all of the parts.
Absolutely.
It's one of the best ensembles and funniest that will ever be done ever. And your work, and I'd known you long before that. We'd met. We kind of were social.
Yeah.
Just enough to catch herpes, but you were always
Which is treatable, by the way, not curable, but treatable.
right. There's a pill apparently, but I've never needed it because I have syphilis, but I don't worry about that because I don't think people talk about that, which means they're not communicable.
No, because no one's communicating about it. That's right.
See? But you're such a good actor, and you're so specific. It's true, and your comedy. I mean, and George was so lovable. So we're talking about somebody who starts trouble, but he's still everyman. So everybody knows a George. Everybody does not know Michael Richards. They might know Julia. They might know
Sure, yeah.
Elaine, and Jerry is also one of a kind because there are people like Jerry, but Jerry is very emphatic to this day to tell you exactly how he feels or doesn't care.
What do you mean? How do you say that?
We already had that conversation.
Right.
So here's the question I get asked. They ask me, do I keep in touch with the Seinfeld cast? No, that's not the one. Do you guys talk? Has there ever been reunion talk? All that crap.
No, but I talk to Stamos every day, which is so funny. We, as far as an official, sort of a show reunion, I haven't heard any talk. I know that everybody, particularly Jerry and Larry, consider the arc we did on Curb Your Enthusiasm to be, that was the reunion. That was, and God bless it, it was really good. Knowing the guys, they don't like to follow a trend. They like to set a trend. And there have been so many reunions and reboots that unless they had a glorious idea of how to do it in a special way, I just don't think they would follow that trend. So I don't think that's where their heads are. On a personal level, this always makes people go, oh. We were, listen, I love them dearly, all of them. We were never social friends in that sense. We were workmate friends. We didn't shoot the show on a Friday night and say, hey, let's have dinner tomorrow night. We just never did that. Now, there are many reasons why that probably didn't happen. For Julia and myself, we were married. We were raising young children during the show. And so every spare moment that I wasn't working, I wanted to be home. And I'm sure she did too. So it wasn't a habit. We would always go out after the show. We'd always go to Jerry's Deli up on Ventura. And we loved being together, and we had great times on the set. And, there were a couple of times where we would go and grab a dinner in the off season as a group at someone's house. But it wasn't a habit. So when the show ended, because we didn't have that as a habit, it didn't become a habit. I have certainly emailed them. I have seen them. Larry has hired me a number of times. I've done charity stuff with Jerry. Jerry's done charity stuff for me. I've worked with Julia on another couple of occasions. We've done charity stuff together. I've worked with Michael on another occasion. So it's always wonderful and warm and supportive. And there's nothing that I feel regretful about, other than, and you will appreciate this. So the other question we get is, do you guys hang out? But it comes hard on the heels of,
Yes, the
do
mighty
you miss
mole
doing the show?
turkeys or whatever the fuck
And
those
the
are.
truth is, I don't miss doing the show because I feel like we
And I'm
did the
back.
show. I feel like
He spent
it
3
felt
years fighting
complete.
this shit.
What you miss, and I knew we would miss it, was that family.
Fine experience.
And that family was not only the core 4 of us, but it was our writers, it was our crew, most of whom were with us all 9 seasons. It was a lot of our bench, this glorious, Wayne Knight and Patrick Warburton and Jerry Stiller, rest his soul. And, that whole gang was just a delicious group of people to be around and have the occasion to play with. And I knew when the show ended, it was going to be pretty hard to keep those relationships going. Now, a couple of them have, I managed to stay in touch with, but for the most part, that's what you miss, is just being this kind of great group of people without having to cook something.
No potluck.
Yeah, right.
So I always wondered this. I was on a family show that people love, but it wasn't obviously your show. That show was, you must have been delighted with every script that came for a table read when you first got it. Was it like, they did it again? How, and they would punch it up all week, I know. But
yeah, we were always, I don't know, I can't talk for everybody. I was, people would say, you guys are brilliant, and I go, you don't have to be a genius athlete. If the guy throws the ball to the 2-yard line, you can fall into the end zone.
Right.
And they were always throwing the ball to the 2-yard line. The scripts were rock solid. And what was always interesting about the scripts is, if you look at a printed Seinfeld script, almost always you go, where are the jokes? Because they're not obvious. They're not like ba-boom punchlines. They are all very character driven. And it was kind of like the writers knew very quickly where we might spin this thing to. And that trust that we knew what was in their heads and they knew what was in our capability was glorious. And there were certain scripts that you just couldn't believe. They were just gifts from God. We heard about the masturbation episode for months before it showed up. And we just went,
I could
there's no
totally be
way.
a
How
cock
they
and I
gonna
could
do
order
this? You
some
can't-
food from fucking
You can't even
Jimmy
say the
John's.
word on television. And that script came down for the table read and our heads exploded because.
But would that really be
it was
cucking on them?
brilliant. And so bold to be about that subject. And, if you remember,
I don't even know.
Elaine was in the contest. And the idea of girls masturbating was run for
Just ordered
the
Domino's.
hills.
Right.
That was verboten.
Just like a sandwich,
So
because
it was just so
you need to be spending fuck tons
such
of
an
money.
amazing piece of work when it showed up, and there were many like that. But there's
But like
also,
I said, I figured I
you
could
talk
get my
about the
job back there
tinkering
because
process, which they would surely do all week long.
one
and it would always
manager
get better.
super lenient when she's actually
but
there.
One of
and
the
not on
biggest
COVID leave.
moments in any episode was in the Marine Biologist, the very last scene
Oh.
where Kramer's been hitting
Dude.
golf balls into the ocean, and George has been pointing.
They
himself
already
off as
trained
a
me,
marine
so I
biologist
think they
to swim.
probably
And they
don't
wind up
wanna
on a
train
beach, and there's a
people.
beached whale, and somebody goes, "This is a marine biologist."
Yeah,
here."
you just got to do something
I
to let
go,
them know
As
that
long
you're.
as I
trotting off into
kiss
the water.
ass.
Yeah, you'll have to
In
do
the
something to
original
let them know
script
that
we
you're not
filmed
going
in
to
front
do
of
any
the
more
audience, that's
no
where
call
my
no
storyline
shows
ended.
because
There was no scene in the restaurant.
having a
And then
well-trained
they
person
had
who
a scene
doesn't
in the
show up
restaurant
is
that I was not
it's
in.
better to train
Exactly.
someone
It went
else.
fine, but it wasn't.
Yeah,
it
'cause
wasn't.
they have
it
to
didn't
weigh their
kill.
options too.
And Jerry and Larry went, nope, not good enough, and they circled the writers. And
I was,
on the floor.
Like, to
with
be
the audience
honest,
in the stands.
I had always showed up on the important days, and that's something I'll even point out. I'd never done that shit on days where you guys actually needed me.
Yeah, but
Like on
The
days with
com-
truck when they needed to pull in whole fucking things. Like anytime we were low on people, I was always there for that shit. So
yeah, but bring that up because that'll help your case. But their comeback to that line of thinking will be, well, that's not your decision to make. We made a schedule based on what we think that we need. You don't get to decide. We do.
Technically, they did make that schedule. I did. They just put what I wanted on there.
Right, but once the schedule is made, what the comeback will be is you don't get to decide on a day-to-day basis whether or not you think that we need you. If we scheduled you for this day, you need to be here this day, regardless of whether we're busy or not. No, so that's.
I know it technically doesn't matter, but I'll kind of throw that if they say this. I forced you to make a schedule for me because you literally didn't for months. Like, I literally was not on a schedule for months.
So
Only reason I had them make that schedule, I didn't even want an official schedule. I just said, can you give me like a fake schedule or something? And they just made a schedule for me. So technically, if we were still doing it how originally we were doing it, I wouldn't be on a schedule. But I guess that probably wouldn't even matter. It would probably just be like a, well, you are now kind of thing.
Yeah, kind of. Which is how most jobs work. They tell you when to be there, you be there. Which, you know, if you're no call, no show, that means that was a day you were supposed to be there at that time, and you weren't. So their argument, their comeback, like, that's not something you should argue with. You should just agree with them. Because if you're gonna say, well, I didn't want to schedule it again, you know, if you're gonna put up a fight and be argumentative about it, then they'll just find someone who's gonna comply.
No, I wouldn't put up an argument, especially when I'm trying to get my job back. Hell no, that's stupid.
Yeah, even if they don't give you an official schedule, if they tell you, okay, well, this day we need you to be here at this time, and then you don't think you need to be there, you show up anyway, even if you don't think you need to be there. Because they're human, they make mistakes too. Sometimes they'll think they need more people than they do, and they'll schedule more than they'll tell more people to show up than they need there, schedule whatever the case may be. Even if you think it's useless for you to be there, that's not the point. You get paid to be there. Doesn't matter if it's busy or not. You get paid the same either way, brother. So when that happens, just show up. Even if you think it's going to be pointless for you to be there, well, not really. The point for you to be there is to get paid. And just by showing up, you do that. You get paid. So that's what I would do. I would show up anytime they told me to show up, because that means I get paid. And if nothing happens that whole day and you want to pay me to just exist inside this building, okay, I guess that's what I'm doing then. I'm existing inside this building. And I'll get paid for it. If not, all right, I'll go do something else. You know, if you don't need me today, I'll find something else to do. I'm all about getting paid.
Yeah.
What I won't do is 2 jobs for the price of 1, like my job's making me do, where you've given me a ton of extra work, but you're not giving me any extra pay. So I'm doing shit that's not in my job description. I'm not a salesman. By forcing me to do sales, you're forcing me to do a second job. And you want to give me the same pay rate. And I'm, nope, not on board for that. So I won't do that. But if you want me to show up on a day when no one's calling in for tech support, and I just sit there all day playing video games and manning the phones and waiting for that 1 phone call an hour, I get paid the same. If I take 10 calls an hour or 1 call an hour, so it doesn't matter to me. I'm more than happy to be here and just get fucking paid.
Hey, check your Discord. I saw what I sent you on Twitter. Kind of reposted it without screenshotting it.
Oh, that's...
I figured you'd get it. I
No,
don't.
you don't get it?
No.
I thought that's why you sent it. It is a reference to the game I'm playing right now.
Oh, I know it's a reference to like Sephiroth, but I haven't played the game you're playing. 2, I haven't seen the movie that this is from, so I don't get it.
You should at least watch it. You should at least watch the movie. The movie does a good job of recapping the game. So you don't have to play this fucking 300-hour game. 300-hour 4-disc PlayStation game.
That's definitely Dr. Octopus.
Yep, but he's got Sephiroth's one wing.
You mean there's a Final Fantasy movie? Or what
Yeah.
are we talking about?
The Final Fantasy VII movie, yeah. The sequel, yeah, it came out a while ago. The sequel to Final Fantasy VII is a movie, Final Fantasy VII Advent Children. It's a direct sequel to the game. It's just a CG movie made by Squaresoft, so it's good. It's not like a live action thing. It is instead of making a sequel to the game and making another game, they just made a movie. They made a fully CG movie. And it's good. Got some pretty badass action scenes in it. It does a pretty good job of recapping the first game, although you are gonna be confused on some stuff. But if we're being honest, you could play the game and still be confused on some of that stuff. This game is very Japanese, and there is some. The story is aggressively long and overly complicated at parts simply because Japan. It's got some very Japanese things in it.
As always, they usually do have some crazy.
But if you're a fan of anime, and I know you are, you won't have a problem grasping it. There's some stuff is going to be laughably ridiculous, but that's kind of all anime. Ridiculousness and tentacles. That's anime in a nutshell.
So they're remaking a zombies map for Vanguard finally. That's what they've decided to do to try to win back everybody's favor.
They're gonna have to retool that entire zombies mode if they want me to buy that game.
Yeah, they're
zombies
making it like the round based.
Zombies would be make it ground based, make it more like older zombie games. Stop trying to do whatever the fuck this is you're trying to do. Because if you want me to buy this game, and that's the only reason I would buy Vanguard, would be a good zombies mode. It's the only reason I bought Black Ops. I had no interest in buying Black Ops. But my wife fell in love with the zombies mode, so we bought it to play zombies. Literally all I play Black Ops for. The same thing would happen with Vanguard. The only thing I'd play on there would be zombies. And I really want them to fix it.
I'm done with them fixing it. Because
I want them to redo.
That is one of their biggest fucking moneymakers, and I'm tired of it being broken every single fucking time they release it.
That's why I said I want them to completely fix is the wrong word. I want them to completely redo it. Scrap everything you've got in the game right now. Make a new zombies mode from scratch that's more in line with the older zombies modes. You know, do what's good, but for God's sakes, keep the dedicated servers. If I could have that classic zombies experience with a dedicated server, that alone will fix most of the gameplay problems. So I was actually kind of excited for the zombies mode in this. I wanted it to be good. Even if the rest of the game was trash, I wanted the zombies mode to be good because this is the only zombies mode they've made with dedicated servers. And I've wanted dedicated servers in zombies so bad for so long. I would even take, a not as good zombies game. If it was just on par with Black Ops, Cold War, I'd be like, good enough. At least it has dedicated servers. But you somehow made it worse. But yeah, if you're not going to play through Final Fantasy VII, I can understand why you wouldn't. It's really long, excessively dialogue heavy. It's a lot of story crammed into this game. A lot to keep track of, and it's just really long. It's very much a product of its time. You have to be in the mood for it, and you have to dedicate the time to it to finish it. So if you don't want to do that, I completely understand. But you should at least watch the movie. And I'll try to put Advent Children on the Plex. I actually have a physical Blu-ray copy of that movie. Got what I was supposed to do here, and I've been skipping all the dialogue. I'm trying to sneak out. Can't get caught this time. Oh, that's right. I can't run. If I run, she hears the footsteps. character's an asshole, and he's gonna sneak out after the girl falls asleep instead of staying the night with her. Because he's an asshole. Back to the Bob Saget.
They wrote that scene, which we never rehearsed, and
Who
in
sang
one
it?
take, we put it out there, and it has, when that golf ball came out of my pocket, ostensibly the one I pulled from the blowhole of the
Really
whale,
forget my fucking dominoes.
that audience laugh in studio was over a minute long, where you couldn't go on with the script because the laughs were just too good. I mean, to come up with a joke like that on the fly, that was extraordinary. And that was the guys. Their work ethic and their comedic ethic, I learned a ton watching them do their thing.
It's I have to ask because I was always curious because a lot of people have trouble with endings of shows. You heard this. This was probably your most asked question
Oh, the finale.
by anybody that's ever talked.
Yeah, no, they have not even
No
notified
one's
me
ever
other than
happy
at the
with
job
end
that I've been
of the
fired,
series.
so I'm
No one.
confused.
And some shows don't have an ending. There is no closure.
Like, I had to go in to
You
find
could've
out. That seems
done
kind
whatever
of
you wanted. I mean, Jerry and Larry could have
weird for these people specifically.
whatever they wanted. 2 years. It felt totally apropos to me, and,
Not a
and it's an
damn-
artist.
not even like
medium at the end of the day, especially when it's your last episode. And we're talking about supreme comedy artists that exist. So,
Yeah.
what was your initial reaction to the reading? of
Like
that
a
when
"You've
you
been
first
fired"
saw it?
tagline,
Like,
nothing else.
Well, this is sad. It must have been melancholy in some ways.
I had two reactions to it.
Hives.
Hives and then a pounding headache, but low, like in the carotid.
I wish I would have been there. I know where to push.
My first reaction to it was, they worked awfully hard to tie this thing up with some sort of, although a dark bow, a bow. What's the ending? The four of us are in jail. Finally getting our comeuppance for being the miserable, selfish, unethical pricks that we are. And I thought, oh, that's interesting, because I always thought the perfect Seinfeld ending would be an episode that has no smack of ending on it, that ends with the four of us in the coffee shop, and there'd be a pause in the conversation where we all look at each other with nothing to say, and Jerry would go, all right, that's enough. And that would be the end of the show. But they had really worked, or Larry had worked really hard to come up with a plotted, this is the end of the show. And on that level, I thought, it may work, it may not work, I don't know. I mean, I at that point, I trusted them implicitly. So, but I was very moved by that script, and that's why when people say to me, "Do I like the finale?" I can't be, I'm too in it. I'm too in the forest for the trees, because what it did. We were, as you know, the players, Jerry, and Larry. This was a very unsentimental group of people.
Yeah, exactly.
And there was it's now famous, there was a sign in Latin over the writer's room door that said, "No hugging, no learning." Right? That was verboten.
Oh, that's
And
And you are a sentimental man, and you're a hugger.
I go there. And
And you're
in
a
fact,
Jewish man that says verboten.
Yeah,
Which is,
right?
that's
And not to say that there wasn't wonderful heart and moments among us, but we were a fairly unsentimental group. And what Larry had found that I thought was extraordinary was an organic way to bring back every great player that had been on the show, who either with an arc or a scene or sometimes a single line had elevated the impact of our show. They had been a big part of our success by coming and playing with us. And he found a way to bring them all back to celebrate the ending with us. And I was so touched by that and thrilled by that, that to me, I go, great episode. But that has nothing to do with the audience's experience. That's just the inside experience. So I was very pleased with it, but I can completely acknowledge that it's probably not our greatest episode, that's for
I loved it, and I didn't understand all the hoopla because it made.
I don't think we could have done anything. The hoopla was so big and the anticipation was so big. You know, there was a porn film made of the Seinfeld show that, you know, lookalikes for us. And I thought, unless we do that, everything's going to underwhelm. So
That's one step above the Lifetime movie version of the
Right,
character,
exactly.
which I've had done to me. I just on a small sidebar. I was part of How I Met Your Mother. I was the narrator.
Yeah.
So 9 years of that, and people were outraged at that last episode. They were incredibly upset, and I went to the reading. And the reason I went to the reading is I was kind of part of the show.
Yeah.
I knew all the people. Allison Hannigan was my babysitter when she was 16. It was an emotional, completely emotional script, and everybody, the entire cast, you know, everybody was crying. It was so sad, but it was something that Carter and Craig just had devised from the very beginning. Why is he talking to his kids this whole time? And so it felt completely natural to me. And I also knew I wasn't going to be narrating it, that Josh Radnor was finally going to be on his big boy dance and do what a lot of people go, why didn't he do it in the first place? And I loved it. I thought it was beautiful. And then they go and make it, and it should have been an hour because it got so serious.
Right.
But it was, and then they did another version on the DVD where I do narrate the whole episode because I tracked
Okay.
them. They just couldn't figure out what to do.
Wow, that
People
was.
are not happy with their favorite shows unless now with streamers you got your ending. You know where you're going.
But you know, everybody has something to say. That's like
That's our next giant topic.
that's the thing is, I am obsessed with this Netflix
Can't
show
use the
Money
same
Heist.
password.
Shut
If it
up.
was
Yeah, I'm about to
PP
watch that as soon as my
as
wife
my
wakes up.
Crap,
password.
so I won't spoil
no
anything for you.
questions.
But
Got
to
it.
me, it's one of the
Maybe.
best crafted, you know, as far as character development, character arcs, story arcs. They write themselves into corners and then they kind of ingeniously write themselves out.
That's the best.
And everybody I know goes, yeah, but would she really have done? Oh, he wouldn't have done. The clock didn't. And I go, you know, go fuck yourself.
I am at that point. It's like pick up a laptop and write a fucking script.
Yeah, yeah,
And then
you
go,
do it.
Go
Exactly.
act in a show and go direct it and go conceive that 12 episode arc or whatever it is. Because
Yeah.
it's exhausting already. It's not funny. Well, why don't you try to make somebody laugh? You know,
Yeah.
but that's where we're at. Even the comedy people, their backs are up.
I know. Well, yeah, because comedy, we all know. I mean, I can't believe you're out there doing.
Well, that one
Real
is, we're
stand-up.
going to take a quick break because I sell things like you either want to groom up your nether regions or mental
Ooh.
health, which
Oh.
go together.
They
or
do.
Meat products, which again, right on the same wavelength as those other two. So we'll be right back.
Well, you do that, and I'm going to give my wife her phone.
Yeah, but that'd be great.
Okay.
Okay, and
I'll
give
be
her
right
a
back.
kiss. I'll be right here. I'm going to drink water.
Yeah, so I can either get 2 medium, 1 topic pizzas, 16-piece Parmesan bread bites, 8-piece cinnamon twists, and
Ay,
a 2
ay,
liter
ay.
of
If I could tell
soda,
you
or I
what's
can get a
going on,
large
my
2-topping
wife.
pizza and 10
Boy,
wings.
if your wife could talk.
Same price.
Redoing the master bathroom.
What? And like, even like a 16-piece wing, come on. Maybe I'd consider it then.
Oh, this is the scene in the game where I have to go infiltrate a whorehouse. This is 100% getting cut from the remake of the game. This entire section of the game is there. I just see them cutting this part out. I am going to go cross-dress and infiltrate a whorehouse to rescue my friend who has been the victim of human trafficking. Final Fantasy VII.
I don't know if they'd remove that for one reason. They don't. Having that removing that might actually get them in trouble.
No, they're definitely going to remove it. Because he's cross-dressing, he's not trans. They make a few trans jokes when they discover. So I'll infiltrate this place as a girl, allow myself to be human trafficked so I can rescue the girl they kidnapped. And after I rescue her, of course, you're in a scene in a hot tub where you're about to be raped by like 6 guys. You're about to get gang raped, and one of them grabs your penis and discovers you have a penis, and they all freak out. And then that's when you throw the clothes off and they make some trans jokes, and then you whoop their asses. It's definitely getting cut. It is 100% not going to be in the remake. I don't know if I haven't played the remake. I know the remake's broken up into chapters. I don't know if they got this far in the remake. I don't know how far the first chapter of the remake goes. I think it goes past this point, and I don't remember anyone talking about this point being in there, which means it got cut. So I think the first chapter of the remake goes through the part in the game where you escape the city, which is what I'm trying to get to now. And this part happens in the city, and if the remake goes through the part where you escape the city, then that means it went past this part. And I don't remember this part being referenced. I haven't seen any screens of it. I haven't seen any headlines about it, nothing, which means it probably got cut. I know that a lot of content did get cut for the remake, and that it's a retelling, a reimagining of the story, not a remake, because they're cutting out a lot of shit. Because this game was made back in the 90s, and there's a lot of humor you could get away with in the 90s that you cannot get away with now. That was in this game, and it's probably all getting cut. Thank you for the tip, Devin. We are listening to Bob Saget's podcast. I'm pausing it when I need to talk, but we're reliving my high school, college days where I would listen to Bob Saget stand up and play video games in between classes. Because Bob Saget was the man, and he tragically died. Anyway, back to the podcast.
And we're at this phase now where does the countertop marble go with the floor, and does it go with the interior of the shower? And maybe it's not that marble, and should it be subway tile, or should we paint it? And I can't get the architect and the thing, and she's an artist, right? So if she gets it wrong, these things really. We redid our pool. I love it. And she goes, the tile is the wrong color for the water. Don't you see it? Don't you see it? And I go, and it makes her crazy. Every time she sees the pool, it's like a knife in the heart. So she's got to get this.
I will give advice to you on this. The subway tile, let her know the only problem with it is it smells like urine.
Darling.
And it might have bum feces. And I mean that without meaning bum. That's a horrible thing to say, but it's a 40s way of saying something that we don't want to talk about today.
Sure.
So many people are. So many people are hurting. So many injustices have been happening. It's before COVID. I was out. You were out doing your tour. You were actually doing your character, and you were. And it's all 5 years ago. And I felt. I don't know if you did. Maybe you didn't. But I felt dissension in the audience. I felt anger. I felt, and I think it was politically driven at first. It was right before the elections, and everybody started picking their teams, and it was like the Flyers hockey team years ago. Everybody just went like, "Oh, you're red or blue. I hate you." You know, people live 200 miles from another city. They hate the other city. I'd perform. The audience would be diverse, and then I would hear someone make a racist comment, which I wasn't hearing for a while. I guess, and the truth is, it was swept under the rug for all these years. So now the needle went and moved, and it's still in a giant moving process. And
you bet.
Where do you fall on this? Because I wouldn't call you an activist. I would call you a compassionate man who cares.
Yeah, I'm an activist in the sense of when there's a particular cause or campaign that I really feel would be impactful, I try to support it. And I kind of got elevated in that during the first Obama election, where I became a surrogate for him, and I went out on the road and was doing events on his behalf.
And so you're not saying you impregnated Michelle Obama? sir.
I'm not saying that, but I'm not pointing
Wow.
to it. Okay.
Wow, that's a good credit. I'd
but-
put that above activist on your bio.
Well,
You
you
get
got to
some-
be pretty active, you know.
Wow.
But
You get it to your Wikipedia page as soon as we
yeah,
get
right,
it.
exactly. You don't think Malia has a little bit of a resemblance? Come on.
Oh my God, I never thought of it.
Nobody does. It's
Does
perfect.
she argue over the bill and coffee and things like that?
But even back then, you know, I would go into places and get confronted for having a candidate, you know.
Yeah.
And I would always say, look, I don't have a gun to your head. I'm just here talking about why this feels right to me and why it's attractive, and to try and articulate and engage with people who maybe haven't figured out what they want to do yet. I'm not here to trash. But you're right. The anger has been coming for a while. I have a theory about all of it, and I will share it with you. So you remember Y2K, right?
Yeah. I used it this morning.
Absolutely. And it's a 2K for you as opposed to a 4K.
Well, what can you do? My
But
parents said take a little off the top, and they went too far.
it went too far. They all do. But when that didn't happen, when we didn't have catastrophe from flipping into the 21st century, I think we all went, oh, it was a calendar page, no big deal.
Right.
But I think what we are seeing is that the 21st century and the 20th century are very different creatures. They are existentially different. There are two new generations of people on this planet that only know the 21st century. And what I see happening
Do
is...
you want me to get that?
No, it's okay. It's the front door and you wouldn't be able to open the lock.
I want to come over. So, Don Rickles, I'm so lonely.
But I think it is the fact that there's a tear at the seams of the fabric between the last century and this century. There is a big thrust of progressive thought, and there is a lot of advancing we must do in order to survive. We have got to change the climate. We have got to change our economic structures. We've got to change our social structures. Our injustices have to finally, the population of our planet is no longer white dominant. And so this, the treatment and the repression and the suppression of our minority classes are finally having to be addressed in a way, because they ain't minorities anymore, and the abuse is now well documented. So there's all this stuff that's tearing, and conservatives, by their very nature, are afraid of change. They get threatened by change.
And that's
They get
understandable
lost.
as a human race. It's
Yes.
understandable to not want change, to
Yes.
want things as they are. But I have a lot of friends that are Republican. That's not a big deal. But,
Right.
but far right thinking, some very extreme far right.
Yeah.
It's difficult when someone believes things that just aren't. The world's round,
Absolutely.
But I have friends that I go, well, that is a good point. I understand that. I understand why that hurts you,
Yep.
and I kind of agree with you. And then we go to the woke world, and that's what we started to talk about a minute ago, which is I'm out doing stand-up, and I'm going, wait a minute, I'm not going to stop doing this. I'm not going to say the same stuff that I did because it's hurtful. I don't want to hit those words. I'm not a person capable of saying those sick jokes that at one time were done to hold up, look how sick and sad this is, by doing the sick joke. But that doesn't, sarcasm, facetiousness is not readable by the new generation, and understandably, actually. But if it's so woke that I can't just make everybody, I have to somehow make everybody laugh and be happy with whatever I do.
Very hard. I'm part of so many organizations right now that are trying to do good things, and they go, don't you think comedy would be good in this? I go, be careful. Because comedy, by its very nature, is always potentially hurtful to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
If you're blonde and I make a blonde joke, let's do me. I'm a short, fat, bald, Jewish, white guy. If I'm sitting in an audience and somebody does a joke about any of that and I'm hypersensitive, I get offended. Are they trying to hurt my feelings? No, they're trying to play with me. They're trying to engage me. We're talking about human foibles. We're talking about the silliness of existence on this planet. And we're trying to enjoy each other. But if I'm having a bad day and he makes a ball joke and I go, fuck you, now it's a thing and he's in trouble. And that's where we are. Comedy is so needed. It is so essential right now. Our ability to laugh with each other and go, you know what? We're all a little bit foolish. We're all trying to figure it out. We all make mistakes. Can we just enjoy each other, and we'll do better tomorrow. Let's laugh tonight. It's so needed. And yet it is so in the crosshairs right now for what you do. I don't really do stand-up, but what you do and our friends who do it with you, my hat gets tipped and I salute because you are, you're actually soldiers in a very necessary cause right now. But there are landmines everywhere and you guys can get blown up. So can I, but you're out there in a more profound way.
Well, I actually detonated one of my legs, so they feel bad. That it adds sympathy to be missing.
You were too tall anyway. Don't worry about it.
Right?
No, it just makes you human.
And I stand in a hole with my good leg.
There you go. That's
So
fine.
you can't do that. You can't say that. You can't make that a joke because there's people missing limbs. And then no matter what you say, if you stop and think about it, what I've been trying to do is tee it up with an apology before and after something that might be offensive, which makes my show twice as long.
And half is funny.
Half is funny, but it's fun to watch me dangle. But like you've done so many. I mean, okay, I didn't meet you, but you did a movie in the very beginning of your life. I didn't know you when you did commercials for Delta Gold potato chips.
Oh, sure, yeah.
I did them, and mine they didn't use, and you did them. I did 3 campaigns for them. Something didn't work, and you were the Delta Gold guy. And I watched it, and I went, he is so much better than I was.
Well, you're very kind, but I'm sure they wrote that copy, and I just did what they wrote. But
You can't go, this is writer-driven, the Delta Gold potato chips.
Well, that's true. It was a magic persona and intent, but
and they discontinued the product, which is a testament to the writing.
I'm very good at being the death knell in most products that are on the
I don't agree.
on the margin.
After you did that, what would be the most consequential thing that you did? Because you were always doing theater as well.
I had a crazy run. So all through the 80s, I was doing the thing that I dreamed about when I was a kid. I had no film or television fantasies. I wanted to work on the Broadway stage.
Yeah.
And I was doing it. I did 5 Broadway shows in the 80s and 4 off-Broadway shows.
Well, you won the Tony and a Grammy for Jerome Robbins' Broadway.
Yeah, I don't have the Grammy. I hear that I've won it, but I don't have it. It's not in my hand.
I don't get that. You need some concrete evidence. You deserve the jewelry.
Absolutely. But I won the Tony in 1989, and then within the course of a year, it was Tony Award, Pretty Woman, Seinfeld. And it was like, Jesus Christ, that's a left turn I did not see coming.
Right.
And then, Pretty Woman was a big deal for my life. Seinfeld, certainly. And then there were things that, I've been lucky enough to be in a bunch of stuff. None of it has, Shallow Hal was a big film, but.
Look, you got a little nub of a tail. I'm happy.
Yeah. That was a strange little tale. But, the opportunities that all that stuff brought me were extraordinary. I mean, they weren't huge successes in the marketplace, but in your life, you go, was I lucky to be a part of this. I got so much out of that. So, and that's kind of where I am now. Most of the stuff I've done post Seinfeld has been smaller and inarguably less successful. And I teach and I talk to students all the time now, and they talk about, well, are they failures? And I go, well, they're failures in that they didn't get a big audience. They're failures in that the person putting money into it didn't get paid back.
Right.
Are they failures for me? I met great people. I did exciting, interesting, challenging things. I had a lot of laughs. I learned shit. And some of it, as far as my own evaluation, some of it is really good work that I wouldn't have gotten to do anywhere else.
Right.
So is it a failure? I mean,
no.
Personally,
everybody,
no.
People care about the hits. That's
Yeah.
what they care about. They don't think that consequential work, because it is about the work. And they think, people are saying it's about the work. That just means because it wasn't successful, that's what they fall back on.
Right.
And they are so out of it. They don't understand anything.
Absolutely.
I've done shows that are one season, and you've done that. I was on one of yours that I liked. What was the one you were a politician?
I wasn't a politician.
Well,
So I did a thing called Bob Patterson, which was the motivational speaker. Then I did one where I was basically playing, I'm having a senior moment, a sportscaster that has a real show.
Was that it? It was a CBS show.
Yeah, with Malcolm Jamal Warner.
Right, that's the one. And I came in and played.
And we were sportscasters on that.
That's why I thought that you were political.
Yeah,
because if you're a sportscaster now, you can run for president.
Yeah. And then the last series I did, honestly, almost nobody saw it. And I thought it was one of the best shows I've ever done in my life. It was something that my partner Peter Tilden and I created, called Hit the Road, which was about a highly dysfunctional Partridge family who lives on a tour bus, tries to be America's wholesome all-American band. And behind the scenes, we're fuck you, up yours, you little shit. It's and that was great fun, but we only got one season out of it.
Can we find that anywhere?
It plays in Canada because we shot it in Canada. It was made for the DirecTV audience channel.
Got it.
Big viewership to begin with, and it didn't last there. So there might be some of it on YouTube, but or Canadian TV. But
well, there's another chapter coming up that's going to have a lot of different facets to it for you. You're
whatever.
I'll tell you. I saw you and Marty Short and the producers. I took my parents to it. Saw it twice with both of you, and it was astonishing because here you are doing something that most people can't do, and it's not Matthew and Nathan, but it didn't matter. You owned it. It was so wonderful. I mean, you're in your element. I mean, you're also doing, something so well written, but you have a facility.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's a little hard especially the way I give all credit for that show really to Susan Stroman, who directed and choreographed it, because the songs are good, but they're not standalone songs. They're not going to lift out of that show and be popular tunes. And the jokes in many ways are as old as the movie. Yeah. So you really need somebody brilliant had to come along and put a shape on this thing and then populate it with people that know how to do Borscht Belt, baggy pants, silliness, and keep Gary Beach is the perfect example, rest his soul, of a guy who was mad as a hatter, but knew exactly what he was doing every step of the way. And she and Mel populated that show with people like that. So it was glorious.
And that's the other thing. You've always, people that are incredibly funny, Pretty Woman, Gary Marshall. I mean, one of the sweetest, best timing, best mental acuity. Is that a word?
Yeah.
Does it pertain to what I was saying?
Not at all.
I need a thesaurus just for me specifically. And then, you're looking at Larry. Your bar is incredibly high. And I'm not saying that's not a short joke. I'm saying, when you go to the bar, I'm just saying that to get a cocktail napkin, you got to reach.
I have to. Well, first of all, I have to have someone do it for me because they don't believe I'm 62. I look like a bald child. My suit is a 44 toddler. I understand.
You actually are adorable. I mean, you are, and there hasn't been a time when we see each other that we don't actually hug each other, and it
Because
lasts.
I adore you.
I adore.
What people don't know about you is A, you're talented. B,
They don't know that.
they don't know that. And B, you are, and not just to be kind, you are, whenever somebody needs a hand, whenever somebody needs help, they have a charity, they have a thing, your name comes up, and if you are literally not physically in another place, you are always there.
That's you,
Your heart
Jason.
is wide open.
That's you.
And you and I also bonded. We have a special bond because of our sisters. Yeah.
Both of our sisters stricken with scleroderma.
Indeed.
And you've done a lot to help move that needle forward, and
Oh,
we'll do it. What do we do? It's an orphan disease, and yet hundreds of thousands of people have it. And I'm sure you meet people all the time, because we're both poster boys for it in a way, of the celebrity variety, which is, I'll take it. If I can help do it, that's when people go, oh, you showbiz people. Well, really? Well, I'm going to try to help, cure AIDS for children.
Right.
And I'm doing it because why wouldn't a human being do that? And if you're
Well, there is no other, as I'm sure you have found, there is no other good use for celebrity. Because celebrity, it's a
curse word.
I always say it's a gift that you cannot give yourself. People have to give it to you, and you don't always want it. Sometimes it's a bad tie. It's just you don't want to wear it every day, but you have no choice. But
it's taking a selfie at your father's funeral. That's just wrong.
Bingo. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. But it does have an upside. It does have perks. And because of that, I think it also comes with certain responsibilities. And one of them is, if you can cast reflected light on something that has value and is important, you are called to that service. But not everybody responds to it. And you certainly do. And I try to. And that's one of the
satin dress.
Yeah.
I think you did
All
before
right,
me.
here we go. Cross-dressing in a video game.
3 years younger than me, or 4. It's really disturbing, the age, but I can't believe we're getting older. I mean,
But look at your hair. Look at your hair. Come on.
well, I do things. I mean, I color the crown, and then
Sure.
they feather it. But I have it. But it gets. This is gray. This is not bald. It's weird. I have low mane, but you're looking at me going, Bob, why complain?
That's
what
right.
you're saying.
I use Rogaine to maintain this. So
Trans-
that's how
Trans
desperate.
person at the gym.
I was going to put a rainbird
And get away.
in the middle of my head
Sure, why not?
and fertilize it, which means you got to find the right woman. Oh my God, sorry. Yeah, but we have that bond to try to. And in our lifetime, are we going to cure scleroderma? No, but we're going to help. I mean, there's research being done.
I'd have to beat up all your muscle-bound morons.
And
to get your weight.
the other unspeakably cruel malady that I've become connected to is ALS. I lost a cousin during the pandemic.
Sorry.
And her family's journey through that was extraordinary. But that's another one where it's just a cruel disease. It makes no sense in nature, as scleroderma doesn't. And they're all in these autoimmune genetic diseases. So I feel like now that we have, mapped the human genome, if we can zero in on the defect that creates a scleroderma and cut it at its source, I think we're closer to a cure than we are to a treatment because of this genetic coding. But there are so many potential answers in that genome that getting to the one that makes the difference without doing any damage will take a while.
There are some very fortunate people, that had the money and it worked to get a stem cell transplant on all of these diseases. Literally, they've tried it on every single one, from cancer to ALS to MS, and it's it doesn't always work. I mean, it's a major thing you're doing to your body, but. The real research is, as you were alluding to, there's going to be an aha moment that happens in a lab. And whatever that is, whatever disease is getting that, whatever autoimmune disease is being researched, that news is going to get spread, and it's going to affect all of them. It's going to affect
Absolutely.
all the, because they're in a similar category.
Right.
They just do things to the body and to the mind that are unthinkable.
And you and I have known people who have lived with these things. Now I gotta tell you, if I have a headache or I hurt my finger, I'm a miserable prick. You do
I woke
not-
up miserable
pretty
this
girl.
morning,
I gotta
and I
tell you,
have a
looks the same.
cold sore in my mouth.
okay,
I'm calling 911.
right. And yet, my sister, your sister, my cousin, people I know that have lived with what turned out to be fatal cancers, have borne it with a grace and a humor that I know I've been exposed to, so that I can try and learn, what it is to rise to that. But it is unimaginable to me, and their families bearing through it with them. It's what people are capable of under the worst of situations, and with the cards being dealt really poorly, is extraordinary. And I don't know why. And I write in my journal every night, and I go to my therapist and I go, the shoe has got to drop. I have been disproportionately blessed throughout my entire life.
Right.
Something terrible is, I'm going to be drawn and quartered. I mean, nobody gets through a lifetime like this. And I see this misery all around us. And that is the other reason, going back to what we were talking about, where people have said to me, why do you put yourself out as a public advocate? You're going to offend people. You're going to lose half your audience. Blah, blah, blah. And I go, nothing I advocate for truly is a direct benefit to me. I'm not trying to lower my taxes. I'm not trying to give myself a better school. I'm advocating for people who aren't getting a fair shake, who are not seeing justice, who aren't being given the same opportunities I'm being given. What do you want me to do?
Yep,
Shut
that
up?
is a sex dungeon.
let them go on like this? And the other thing that
Yeah, they're
amazes
definitely
me
cutting
about
the sex
people who
dungeon
go,
for her.
well, that's their problem. They got to pick themselves up by their bootstraps. I go, do you know what people do when they hit the wall and there's no choice and there's no place else to run? You know what they do? They turn and they fight back. And I'm a student of history. The French Revolution, not a great thing for people who were doing well. Not great. So, it would be nice if we could create a planet where everyone has, a quality of life that is satisfactory.
But that does seem impossible, doesn't it? Because there's a huge faction that it's not about people that are wealthy and want things to be the same. It's not just about that. It's about just human condition. And
yes,
people's IQs and people's different ways.
And we're also born into, geographically, talk about throw the dice. I'm born into suburban middle class New Jersey in 1959. That's a good roll, right?
What
if
exit?
I had been born into
what exit was it?
5A off the 280. But if I had been born into an underclass in India to a family of 12, my potential for success is not equivalent in those two scenarios. And that is a happenstance of birth. And so no, we will never have utopia. We will never get to a place where everyone has a sort of equal opportunity to thrive. We won't, but we can do that.
I keep hoping, but what we've been going through, I'm hoping, and I'm positive. I'm feeling positive that we're going to fail forward. Because this is a failing time, and it seems gloomy and hopeless. But I don't think that, because I think people get exhausted emotionally of still fighting a fight for what? For what? It's why people get divorced. It's why brothers don't talk anymore, besides embezzling all the money or having sex with the man's wife.
Sure.
And COVID isn't good for that, because you don't meet that many people.
No. And when you embezzle, you can't travel. So it
is difficult. There's no knapsack, no hopping a freight.
No.
And I love this blurry thing. And I might decide to go this way.
Right? Yeah. Absolutely.
So if you got,
we're figuring it out. So I told you when you called me, my buddy Peter Tilden and I we've recorded 12 episodes of a podcast that we're about to go out with, and so I'm in your boat now. I'm learning every one of these that I do. I'm learning.
How many have you done? You've done.
We've done 12, and it's the podcast will be called Really No Really, and it stemmed from Peter and I do this all the time, where he goes, "Did you hear something?" And I go, "Really? No, really?" That's how it came from, and the actual Jerry Seinfeld, dig hard enough, he'll be at the heart of the rest of my life. So Seinfeld does two routines where I went, well, yeah, I wonder why that is. And one of them was he would do this very funny routine about how in public restrooms, the stall door doesn't come down to the floor. And you have this little pathetic viewing window of feet and pants and a belt. And it's like, why? Why? If you go to a fine hotel, you go to the restroom, you have your own little room, right? But in high traffic public restrooms, why don't the doors go down to the floor? We found out the answer. And the other one was, God bless him, he does a really funny bit about 5-hour energy shots.
Yeah.
Why are they 5 hours? Who needs 5 hours of energy? An hour, 2 hours, 8 hours, 5. And we have unearthed that. So we are talking to people who are engaged with something where you go, really? We talked to a woman, a speech therapist, who with recorded buttons on the floor has taught her dog 55 words. And there is profound communication going on, and she's starting to offer this, to other people.
So are any of them clean words, or is it all filth?
They're all, there's shit, but I think it's in literally I have to go. I think that's what
I see.
But we talked to her. We've talked to competitive eaters. We have talked to a wonderful guy who is a former neo-Nazi skinhead who left the movement partially because of his love for the Seinfeld show.
Really?
We talked to...
Was that the soup Nazi that did that?
No. It was a guy named Arno Michaelis, and he's extraordinary. We've talked to a woman, a wonderful woman in her 40s,
this definitely
Latinx descent, who does sign language interpretation for rap stars, where she's dropping F-bombs and C-bombs and N-words and at 1,000 miles an hour, talking to her about that stuff. We have talked to a guy who's been in the circus all his life, and currently his wife shoots him out of a cannon 8 times a day. Thank you very much.
I almost want to see this live. Have you guys thought of that?
We thought in success it would be fun to do them live, and we are, we're Zooming them all, so we have the video component, but we've had a great time. We just haven't launched it quite yet, because with a show like this, part of it is presentational, and you want to know, when should we be talking? When is it really an interview? When do we do a bit? When do we do a thing? So we've been, editing and re-editing and going back and forth to try to get a nice format for it. But I would imagine sometime in October, November, we're going to try and start to put them up and see if there's an audience for it. But it's been great fun. It's a joy to do.
I'm excited for that. I will listen to that. I have to pick and choose because there's more podcasts than there are people.
A gazillion. Yeah, I know. Listen, I must really like you, because I have a lot of people that go, hey, want to have a conversation? I went, I've told every story I have at this point.
But you told this on here, I think. Well, we had a conversation, I think. So you told the same stories about Seinfeld, which you've been asked literally a zillion times.
Yeah.
But his stand-up is something that it's hard to find someone to be angry about with his stand-up. And a show about nothing, which it wasn't, about relationships, but it is also something we could really use right now, because there's no sides picking here, unless it's one of those episodes that's bringing up,
right?
Someone's going to go out and do a march, and don't do it, and then you're bringing up stuff. But
Right.
Jerry's stand-up has always been, since I knew him when I was 22, so accessible, purposely crafted, perfectly crafted. So,
Yeah. When I've done interviews and people say, well, who's your favorite stand-up, and I would always say, you know, I don't mean favorite in, you know, joke by joke, pound for pound, but I watched over the years that I worked with Jerry, I must have seen him do 30 stand-up sets, you know, outside of our show. I've seen him work old
Bob, you're right.
audiences, young audiences, not the brightest, you know, bulb audiences, hostile audiences. He gets them. There's no crowd
Yeah.
he can't win, and that to me makes him one of the finest. You know, other guys and gals cannot sort of tailor the set to figure out where the sweet spot's going to be. Jerry's got so much material and so much history and such an innate sense of, and then like that, I think here, I've seen a lot of live comics. I've just never seen anybody with quite that savant ability to understand and work a crowd and to get the hell off. He also knows.
Well, he's. I've talked to him about it. He said an
thrusting his
hour and
fat
10.
belly.
That's kind of the perfect length.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then if you're going to work new stuff in, you kind of do it near the front. And then, but that can vary. It depends on what fits because he's so meticulous. I mean, he's such a crafts person.
I've never seen a work ethic like that. You know, when I knew him, I think what he said is when he could, he was working, writing for an hour or two a day. I mean, where he said either brainstorm ideas or look at material and recraft it. And, you know, who does that?
Well, I actually spent a lot of time, but you know, a lot of dick jokes don't need punching up.
No.
You know, they're done. They're out of the gate. They're done.
Right. Words with a K are funny. You know.
And a P.
Dick.
And, right. Dick and penis. So.
And penis. Yeah. Sure.
That's what dickus would be good, but it's Latin, and I think we've lost.
It was also, wasn't that the name of the main guy in District 9, where he's becoming an alien? I think his name was Dickus.
You're correct.
Yeah, which was, I went, are you fucking kidding me?
And then in Life of Brian, Monty Python, Michael Palin kept saying his friend Biggest Dickus.
Right.
and they all kept laughing, and he goes, "Why are you laughing?" And he got right into his face. My friend Biggest Dickus, and it was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. So your influences, real quick, who changed your life when you found out you wanted to do Broadway, when you found out you wanted to do musical comedy, theater?
When I was 12 years old and I saw Pippin for the first time, Ben Vereen made me want to be an actor. I had never thought about it up until that point. I saw what he did on that stage, and I had such a man crush on him and his talent that I started to go in that direction. I had an amazing professor. I went to college at Boston University as a theater major, but I saw myself as a dramatic actor. And this guy, James Spruill, pulled me into his office in my sophomore year.
He didn't touch you, right?
He did not. He touched my heart. I was, you know, a good 15 to 20 pounds overweight. I had hit my full height potential of 5'5", and I was already starting to lose my hair. And he said, "Look, I know your heart and soul is Hamlet, and you'd be a profound Hamlet. You're never going to play Hamlet, so you better get good at Falstaff." And he said, "You're not seeing yourself as you're not looking at comedic material or seeing yourself as a comedic actor. If you want a commercially successful career, you're going to be more marketable if you go that route." And I had never thought about it. And I took him very seriously. And because of that, he really changed my career. I mean, I just, you know, I had done a couple of comedies, but it was not what I was focused on. It was not what I was looking for. So that was a big influence. And then once I started doing that, the comedic voices that I really started paying attention to try and figure out who's funny? How do you make funny? You know, where everybody that had a record, from Woody Allen and Bob Newhart to Cosby and Carlin and Phyllis Diller and Jose Jimenez and you name it, you know.
Right.
And then
those are canceled. A couple of those people.
You bet. You bet. The comedy, they don't know, and comedy and lives don't always hold up. But and then from Lucille Ball and Jackie Gleason to the Marx Brothers to again Newhart and Jerry Lewis and wow, what makes comedy? And I would steal from everybody.
Right. But to your teacher's fault, Willie Loman. I mean, there are characters that Jackie
Absolutely.
Gleason was a hell of a serious
Yeah.
character. And
Yeah.
so are you. I've seen you do stuff.
You're
And
very
within comedy, doing it properly, the best is pathos. The best is when there's a serious root to it. And you are a person who's always so prepared that you might be doing something with the quippiest and smartest kind of dialogue.
Good.
That's funny, and it's meant to be funny. And
For limit
it
break
comes
as
out
well.
funny. But I know you well enough to know that there's a deep root to it, and that's why it's so funny.
Well, you're very kind.
But
I will
it's
tell
the
you.
truth. Don't you find that when you're
Well, it's the way that I work. I've had a lot of training and a lot of teachers, but the guy that became my guru was Larry Moss, who's still out there teaching.
Yep.
And Larry really gave me a way to work at stuff. And so no matter what I'm working, it could be the funniest stuff in the world. I still have to take this journey through the truth of it. And so I think that hopefully some of that journey is always present in the end result.
Well, I don't know what to say. I want to see you, so I want to figure out. I want
to be with you. Who's the first person to sing that song? Let's see if you're a Broadway queen like me. First person to sing, I want to be with you after all these nights of loving.
Nelson Eddy.
Nope. Not even close.
Eddie.
Now I'll give you the show. Broadway show called Golden Boy. Sammy Davis Jr., baby.
Wow.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Yep.
I would have
Never saw him do that show, but I have the album, and my God.
I would have lived. I do want to say, I know that you are as emotional as I am. I've had a couple of Broadway experiences, and it felt, of all the award shows that we've been watching, which we've done in COVID and Zoom and pain, and like, why'd they produce it that way? And we all had notes, and everybody's like, but watching the Tonys, which I did abridged, I can't sit through a whole thing anymore because I'm 12, but it felt so great. And it let us feel that, yes, we're getting through this. It's not going to be easy. This is something that people have to realize is real, and it ain't going away. And, you do what you want to do, but take the fucking shot. So
You know why I think it resonates like that, the Tonys? And I'm going to be a theater snob now. That community is an actual community. The community of the theater.
Yes.
And the reason that's true is the biggest star in the world that gets up and does 8 a week knows if the chorus girl 3 lines back doesn't do her job, nothing I do is going to matter to this audience because that's what they're going to see. So if I don't have their support, if we're not in this together, none of this works. And we have to do it today and tomorrow and twice the next day. And so you learn what ensemble is all about. And and the ensemble of one show is the same as the show next door and the show next door. And at 8 o'clock, you're all communally doing this miraculous thing. And that's what you see in that room. When the Tonys happen, they are a brother and sisterhood. They are cheering for each other. 100%. They are proud of each other.
And it's a role model for existence. That's why for human existence and collaboration and empathy, and you might not like someone, there's always a thing where you go, whether it's a film, a TV show, or a play, and you go, oh, there's an asshole on every production. I just hope it's not me.
Me, exactly. Yeah.
But I was doing, last thing I did on Broadway was Hand to God. And
oh my God. Did you do that?
I took over for Mark Kudish.
I wish I had seen that.
I wish you had too.
I saw the original company and I was blown away by that.
Everybody was. Everyone was the original company. It was Geneva Carr and Sarah Stiles
And Stephen,
Stephen Boyer. Geez, God in heaven!
I could not understand that performance. He's mouthing and working a puppet on one hand and reacting to the puppet
It's the
at the
most
same
amazing.
time.
It's the most amazing.
My
And
head
it's a
exploded.
demonic puppet, and I wish it hadn't ended. But these shows are difficult to get, and it's also a specific audience. But it was everybody that would love rock and roll and all of the dark things and comedy. It's funny as shit. So,
I am supposed to direct one. We're casting now. That is funny and dark and theatrical. I'm supposed to direct a stage adaptation written by Peter Tolan, who created Rescue Me, of The War of the Roses.
Oh, I read that. That's like so great.
Yeah.
So you have, and you're doing it up in Cambridge. You're doing up.
No, we were supposed to do it in Maine before the pandemic.
That's how I come. That's how my information gets.
Yeah, and then and now we're putting it together straight from New York. So
awesome.
Hopefully within the next year it gets up. But you want to talk about dark and funny and
yeah.
Oof. Yeah.
And do you have a chandelier?
We have a chandelier.
That's the money shot.
We have a
chandelier.
Find
one in storage from Phantom?
It will be very carefully built to carry off this stunt. But yeah.
I wanted to mention that I didn't bring up that I was in Hand to God for any reason except to say that talking about one thing that can go wrong, the dancer doesn't hit the cue, something is, I had to put keys in a door, the set was revolving, and it was moving as I was doing the key movement, and my sleeve got caught on the side of the flat, and it's a hydraulic movement. It was, and I literally could have died. And I looked to one of the lovely stage men next to me, and he just looked at me like, holy shit. And it was all a split second. And I would have been wedged into a flat, obviously would have thrown off the timing of the show. But it's because of, and that was the only time I did something that really screwed up other people, could have screwed up other people. But it really is amazing. If you don't put the cup exactly where it has to be, you can actually murder someone.
It's astonishing. The fact that, especially these elaborate Broadway musicals, it's like a NASA mission.
Yeah.
The amount of stuff that has to coordinate to pull it off. And, the audience is just thinking like, oh, it's fantastic. But it's backstage, it's controlled mayhem and thrilling. And, you and I have that in our DNA. We're going out to actors right now for this show. Wonderful, brilliant actors who go, I don't do stage, man. I don't do stage. They're scared. And rightly so.
It was the best thing that ever happened to me. Kevin McCullum put me in Drowsy Chaperone, and I took over for Bob Martin and for many other great actors.
Yeah.
3 other people. And I got to work with Danny Burstyn, who finally
On his Tony, finally.
won his Tony, and we're talking about ALS earlier. It was amazing.
Becca.
It was so beautiful and so perfect. And Danny is, not unlike yourself, one of the more lovely people I get to know in my
Absolute
life.
angel. An angel of a guy.
He is so special, and he almost lost his life to COVID, and he's another open heart. It's just so beautiful. And David Allen Greer won, and thank God, or we'd have to listen to that for another 10 years. But
I saw,
he's amazing.
you might have seen this too. I saw, the first time I ever saw Dan was in a musical about Jackie Robinson called The First. And it probably played in 1982 or 3. He played Jackie Robinson, and the show didn't run. But I remember saying to my wife, there's another star right there. That's a bright light. And, again, yeah, he's had a glorious career, but it's taken all this time to have somebody pat him on the back and go, you're pretty damn good.
And he can do anything.
Anything.
So could you. You're an incredibly talented person, and I'm honored to have you as a friend.
Thank you, my brother. Right back at you.
Thank you.
So,
Thanks for doing a little
we'll,
podcast. If you need me on yours to do jump through a flaming hoop,
I need you to, we're going to find your really, no, really, the thing that you tell us where we go, really? Sodomized the camel. I cannot believe it. But
I had an apple box. I have 4 penises, and I'm doing a musical called Quadrupenia.
There you go.
That's
I love it. It writes itself.
You love it. No one else does. If I can't get a response out of you with a
I'll talk to Kevin McCullum. He'll put on anything. It's okay.
If I'm in it, you know he'll put on anything. Well, I love you, Jason.
Thank you, Bobby.
And I'll be over. I want to pick up your wife's phone so I can just stay direct in contact.
Absolutely. God knows where it is now, wherever she may be.
Be well. I'll talk to you. Well, that's Jason Alexander, and what a wonderful, wonderful, honest, loving man. I hope you enjoyed that. I did. I loved talking with him, and never asked him any of those questions. You know, you have a friend, you don't go, hey, so what was it like with the finale of Seinfeld? He's got so much coming up, and there's also, I think, another show in him that's going to last a long time because he's beloved by a lot of you, beloved, or he's just a special, wonderful, talented man. So thank you for listening to this episode. Listen to Jason's podcast with Peter Tilden when it comes out. And what else can we tell you? Go see his War of the Roses production. It's going to Broadway. Holy God in heaven. He's just, you get what you get with him, which is just love. He's a talented, wonderful man who, for some reason, has his wife's phone on his desk. I'm sending you guys all my best. I know you might be going through some tough times. You might be angry. You might be just trying to think things aren't difficult right now, but they are for you. I wish you well. I really do. We're all just getting through, right? And I'm going to be out on tour. Just go to bobsaget.com. You can find out what clubs or theaters I'm coming to. And the plan is to do a special before the end of the year, so I got to figure that out. And I love what I'm doing, which is getting to make people laugh, which is no small order these days. So it's an honor to be able to entertain people again. And I'll keep doing it until they say I can't, which probably won't happen because I'll just keep doing it. And eventually I'll be old enough, I'll just be a head on a stick. I only need some mic. Oh yeah, and I gotta be allowed. Anyway, hey, just be well. You can watch this on the YouTube page, which is just youtube.com/Bob Saget. And you can go to bobsaget.com for tickets for my shows. And we've got a lot of great new guests coming up right here on the show called Bob Saget's Here For You. It's very awkward to say my name. I mean, I find it awkward to say Here For You because there is another podcast named Here For You, which I didn't know, but Bob Saget's name is because I'm Bob Saget. How awkward does that sound? Would you, if your name's Jim Smith, would you? Because I'm Jim Smith. No, you wouldn't. That's a problem I have. It really is. But I'm going to call my therapist really soon after I do Pilates. Nope. There's 9 jokes in there. I'm not doing them. Take care of yourselves. You know, you rate, review, you subscribe to this podcast. And you can subscribe and listen. Or if you're getting it on a place where you follow and listen. Whatever you got to do, I'm here. And I'm sending you. Take care.
It's the season to curl up, sleep in, and get cozy, which means you can't go wrong giving comfy gifts for the holidays. Who doesn't want something comfy? I do. And with Purple, you can give the gift of comfort and great sleep to everyone on your list. Purple is a sleep company that's been innovating comfort for over 15 years with their proprietary Purple Grid technology. Purple's best-selling Harmony pillow is made with their signature grid and provides absolute airflow. It's the perfect gift to help keep the hottest of heads cool. Wrapping a mattress in Purple's silky soft breathable sheets will have every sleeper wanting to hit the snooze button even more. Whether you're working in an office or at a kitchen table, sitting all day no longer has to be a pain in the butt. Purple's seat cushions offer no pressure support and keeps you comfortably cool. And for the little ones, Purple's Kid Collection has all the essentials to help them dream big. They'll wake up feeling merry and bright every day, having slept on their super soft, moisture-wicking kid sheets. Your small sleepers won't stir at night when they have the cradling support of the kids' pillow, which is made with the same grid technology. Purple is a wonderful product. I like to sleep, and if I can sleep on something that keeps my head cool and allows me to sleep better, I recommend Purple. Give the gift of comfort and great sleep with Purple. Go to purple.com/Bob10 and use promo code Bob10. That's Bob10. For a limited time, you'll get 10% off any order of $200 or more. That's purple.com/Bob10. Promo code Bob10 for 10% off any order of $200 or more. That's purple.com/Bob10. Promo code Bob10. Terms apply. Bob Saget here, and I think I have too much light on me, but I'm going to keep it. If you're watching the YouTube, I got a light. I could look like that or like that. And if you're just listening, you don't give a crap about the light. It's Bob Saget's here for you, and I got a special guest. I always say that, but this is Jason Sudeikis, who I think everybody's in love with. Man, woman, child, mammals, any kind of animal. He is just one of my favorite comedy people. And I am this unbelievably religious fan of Ted Lasso. And there's 2 more years of it coming up, which is fantastic on Apple TV. And if you haven't watched it, stop listening to this right now and just binge all 10 episodes of Ted Lasso, because it's one of the best shows I've ever seen. It's up there. It's one of my favorite shows. That's a lot to say. Maybe you'll think I'm a fool. I'm not. I'm not, because I know how to fix a tire, and if I cut myself, I can stop the bleeding. Ted Lasso is one of the best shows on television right now, and there's going to be more of them, which is just amazing. And he's done so many great movies that are just really special and funny, and we'll be talking about them and his 10-year or 8-year on Saturday Night Live, all the stuff he's done. You know what to do. You rate, review, you subscribe to this podcast, and you want to do that, and you want to download it. You can download it. That's a good thing. And that's new, you can download it. That's new. It's the past 20 years. Anyway, the other thing is there's a phone number up there. You can call that, and I'll be calling you guys sometimes. Either on Twitter, I'll announce it when I'm going to call, and I'll be doing it soon, very soon, because the holidays are upon us. So I want to connect to some of you people out there, you nice people. And as we get to the end of this 2020, it's wonderful to have somebody so positive and so wonderful. I know I'm just a gloaty asshole, but I can't help it. It's how I feel, okay? So I'm not just fluffing people. I love this guy. He's just a bright, shining guy. And he's got a giant heart, and it comes out in his comedy. And Ted Lasso, let's welcome in. I'm going to admit him into my Zoom room right now. Here's Jason Sudeikis. Oh, here we are. Here we are.
You gotta hold that mic the whole time.
I don't know. I could have it in a stand. It's just I have it recording in a podcast board, so it sounds like I'm doing a real thing.
I gotcha. Makes it official. Is my sound all right?
Yeah, it's good. You're out of sync. I don't know why. Maybe I'll do that. You like that better? If it's off to the side, does it look like a penis though?
I'm just thinking your comfort. I got no skin in this game. It's just me. I want you to be able to gesticulate and clap.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. And I got 90 pages I won't be using. It's like Craig Ferguson.
Yeah.
He just rips up his cards when the interview comes out because he doesn't want to learn it.
I never got to do his show. It was his booker was like, nah, I don't think Jason and Craig would hit it off.
No, you'd be perfect.
Like, what?
You'd be absolutely perfect. You're an incredibly nice person. You're free associative.
Wow.
You go with wherever the ball's thrown. No, I'm not trying to Ted Lasso you in, but
yeah.
My grandmother. So
don't blow
this. No, I'm not going to. This is the room that you were in when I watched the whole cast of Ted Lasso talk. Is that correct?
Yeah.
This
Yes,
is your set.
that is
this
correct.
Is your
Yeah, this is the-
Quarantino set.
This is our pied de terre, if I'm saying that correct. This is the office in the house that we have here in Silver Lake that I've been in. Olivia used at the beginning of the year to prep her movie that she's shooting now, and then I've been in here since she was given an office. And it's where I play. It's where I play video games.
Oh,
and it's where
man.
me and my son have played lots of Spider-Man on that television, and
So that's and that TV is
a lot
on
of soccer
right
balls
now.
in here.
Do you have soccer balls?
Yeah,
in there?
we got a few. Yep.
You get
There's
trophies on the top there. That's a nice ball. And you got trophies
Those
behind you?
those are all Olivia's for her film Booksmart.
I see.
Here's one of my favorite things. Have we started, by the way?
I'll probably start, right before, right after the trophy moment.
Okay, great. Yeah.
How are you, by the way? Are you doing good? Are you okay? You're in quarantine.
Yeah.
Your life is insane for everybody.
Yes. Yeah. No, but I'm doing all right. But it's everyone's on their own journey here. Even within, I think, unions and teammates, and it's a whole to do. I cannot wait until 2020 is hindsight.
Oh, my
Bob.
grandmother! This is the worst fucking year of our lives so far.
Yeah.
I knew there was going to be germ warfare, but I just didn't know the Toxic Avenger. I didn't know the whole thing would happen at once. That's all of it. It's just a perfect lightning storm of batshit crazy.
Yeah, it really is.
Batshit
Really is,
crazy
yeah.
will never mean the same thing.
No, you're not like now. Yeah, you're like batshit crazy. It's like, oh, don't let it sneeze on you. Like, don't eat that batshit crazy. Don't take a bite of it.
Well, they're saying it's not
Not a
wet
big-
bats now. They say it was a lab situation. I don't know. I don't know what to believe anymore. We don't care even. We just want to get through this and give me a vaccine. I'll let them inject it into my penis. I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, where else would you put it?
That's what I would do.
That's the only place I can find veins on my body anymore.
You become that. No, you're slim.
I appreciate you noticing. Thank you.
I think you're always been svelte and much more veiny now than you used to be. You're not vain.
No,
in fact,
V-A-I-N.
did we meet at the Amundsen Theater? Is that accurate? Were we at the theater downtown LA? Were you there with Fred Armisen seeing some show?
No, you're almost right. We saw a heck of a show, and we met at UCLA at Royce Hall.
Oh, okay.
For Bernie Brillstein's memorial.
Oh, that is where we met. Oh, crap.
And that's no. I mean, the fact that you remember Fred was there, that night, Fred and I have known each other for years at that point at SNL. I can't remember what year that was. And I remember, we were both staying at the place called the Pally House. I think in 2010. Yeah. And Fred was like, hey, do you want to drive together? Sure. And then we're sitting in the car and I look over at him and I'm just like, this is so funny sitting in a car with you. Like him driving. It's like when you see it's like when you see a Muppet riding a bike, when you see Kermit's full body. I was like, what is going on? And you just sort of see the way he handles things. Like he had a little razor, and I do the same thing, especially when I have facial hair. That he had a little razor that if he had a hair that he would just need to in his center console. He's like, yeah, I just have that just in case a little grow hair. Otherwise, I'll just be messing with it the whole time. But then we
memorial. You don't want to be doing that.
Well, you don't want that at all.
And Marty Short was hosting. He would have called him out.
It was amazing. Martin Short had that killer joke at the beginning. He goes, I remember Bernie said to me, kid, I'm going to get you a gig at Royce Hall if it kills me.
Oh, God.
That night.
And Kermit was actually sang Rainbow Connection at the end through a thin curtain. It was. I love Bernie a lot.
Yeah, he was amazing. Yeah. He represented my Uncle George, early in his career before then Brad Gray took over. But Bernie was always really, really nice to me. The first time I met him was when they were casting for the Martin Short show and they came through Chicago, the Second City, and I introduced myself. My uncle George Wendt, played Norm on.
I love your uncle.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I've known him a long time.
Yeah, he's a kick butt man, artist, and human being, and uncle. And he and I just introduced myself, as hi, my name's Jason. I'm George Wendt's nephew. I don't think I auditioned for it. I can't really remember, but oh, great to meet you. I love you. I love you. I love George. So good to be back here, and like in Chicago. It'd been a long time, but there's so many quotes he has that I bring up all the time. Like one of my favorite that keeps coming up when we've been doing press for our show is that what is it that stars don't make television, television makes stars. That was like one of his axioms, and it's one of the fun things of our program is like getting to nobody in this day and age of peak TV, everybody have movie stars are now like, hey, I'll do a TV show for 10 weeks and get paid a chunk of change, and the storytelling's great and all that too. You get more liberty and more time and space to develop character and story, but just getting to introduce people, in that regard. I think of that quote of his. Were you represented by him? Like, how did
I was Brad Gray's first client, and then
no kidding.
I introduced him to Gary Shandling. And
now I'm looking now.
It's in Judd's documentary. I was in the middle of two people that I loved. And that funeral, Bernie's funeral, was taken care of by Lauren and Brad.
Yeah,
that's who took care of that. It was very. It was a very. I have a Machiavellian type history with that whole thing. But
how so?
Well, it was just like, I loved Gary, and then the lawsuit happened, and then it was. And I love Brad. I mean, he was, I'm the godfather of his kid, and I've had a couple people killed because that's what you do.
Yeah,
when you're a godfather.
I know. Yeah, I've read the book. I've never seen the film. I hear it's great.
It's okay. Godfather 3 is what you want to start with.
Great, good to know.
And then just go backwards. There's also going to be an animated one coming out, which is really good. I hope you get a voice in it.
Yeah. You play the plate of pasta. You play the cannolis.
I'm the boat that Fredo gets shot in. But it's interesting. I had an experience with Bernie, and Martin Short, right after the memorial, came up to me and said, Bernie was always jealous of Brad because Bernie thought that you were the funniest person about me. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I wish I'd have known that. I could have had some more confidence. My balls would have been bigger. I didn't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and what good does it do you now that he's dead? It's like,
who wants a dead guy to love you?
Yeah,
maybe, we don't know. But,
I mean, it doesn't take 10%.
Well, then it was 20%. That was back in the Rollins and Jaffe model. That handled Woody Allen and Robin and David Letterman, and that was a 20%.
Oh, gotcha.
So Bernie was taking 20% of Belushi, Aykroyd, when he was handling. His first client was Norm Crosby, and then who just
king of the malaprops.
Right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so he had a good death, and then he also handled Jim Henson.
I know the fact that Bernie was ground floor on in that like 1 year of SNL, the Muppet Show, and Hee Haw.
Hee Haw.
Like that's like the Venn diagram. That's America. That's children,
it's everything,
stoners, and then everybody else.
I mean, it's Hee Haw. It's Buck Owens. And
I love that
Roy,
show.
I did too. And
Roy.
What
was Roy?
Roy Clark.
Roy Clark. Yeah.
And it had Pretty Girls in Daisy Duke cutoffs in it.
Yep.
It was a country laugh-in, is what it was.
100%. Yeah. Popping up from like the corn stalks, telling one-liners, instead of coming
exactly
through
the same thing. And they would get like, I think Johnny Cash popped out. I mean, it was like anybody.
They'd get them.
Major stars.
Yeah.
So I know, we talked briefly. I was slothering all over you because I think you're so special anyway, because I just know it.
Thank you.
You're insanely talented, I know you don't even know it. That's what makes a talented person. If somebody tells you they're a stable genius, I would be concerned.
Yeah. Hey, my basketball coach in college used to say he was insane. He's like, I'm crazy. Follow my lead. I was like, and I'd just be a smart ass. I'd be like, crazy people don't know they're crazy, sir. He's like, Snakes, get out of my gym. All right.
Right. Yeah. And geniuses go, I'm not that smart.
I think my secret is just always try to be the dumbest person in any room. And
Right.
then, and then people that aren't in that room just assume you're one of them. And it's like, nope.
I can be. I'll be whatever you want. How much is
Yeah,
there
yeah.
money in it? Is
Yeah,
it-
exactly. I
so-
can roller skate.
Is
What do you
someone
want?
good directing? So I want to talk about this because you were hired by Lauren as a writer first, right?
Yeah.
But you
Yes,
came
sir.
out of improv, so you were already performing. So why
Yeah.
didn't he go cast member and writer, or he wanted to explore the writing thing first?
I don't know. I've never asked him. I've actually never met him. But he's like- it's like Charlie.
right next to you, but I'd rather not talk to you.
Yeah. No, he always looks forward. You're always watching, Godfather 3, and you're just sharing a bowl of popcorn. The way it went down was, I'd been doing Second City in Las Vegas for, at that point, it was supposed to be like a 6-month gig. And then this was in 2001, and then 9/11 happened, and it was like, okay, I'm gonna stay put here. And then my girlfriend at the time, who then became my fiance, then my wife, then my ex-wife, her name
I did
Kate
that.
Cannon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
good.
It's a journey. It's the journey, not the destination, as we've joked about.
Yep.
But then she got hired, in August, like that same year, and so we stayed put. And after 2 years, 9 months, I got asked to audition for the show. My manager, the guy I still work with, Jeff Chetty over at Brillstein.
I love Jeff.
Yep, Jeff, and that was since 2003. He repped me and Kay, Kay Cannon, my ex, and we, I had, been in Chicago prior to that, and my,
You were doing Second City there as
I
well?
was doing Second City, touring company.
Right.
And Jeff Richmond, who was a musical director there, really brilliant guy, is Tina Fey's husband, and Tina was now head writer and like Tina Fey, not like she hadn't done Mean Girls yet like Tina Fey, but she was like, her and Jimmy were like, prom king and queen of late night, entertainment. And Jeff came out when SNL, I think, was nominated for an Emmy, and he hates flying, and he stopped in to he did 2 days of rehearsal with us at Second City in Las Vegas and made the show 40% better. He's just one of those guys that can just go what if he did this? It's he's just brilliant. He just little adjustments with these things.
And he's a good guy too.
And he's a
Really
very good guy, and great partner, great dad, great friend, and just brilliant, musically and comedically and all that. And he said to me, he was like, "Have you ever thought about auditioning for SNL?" I was like, "No way." Now at that point, I can't remember if Seth had been hired, but Seth was the first person from my generation. Prior to that, it was Tina and Rachel Dratch and Horatio Sands. These were seniors when I was a freshman in Chicago. So it was that's who's on that show, not us. And then Seth got on, and it was like, wait a minute, it's like when someone broke the 4-minute mile. It's like, no one had done it for 100 years, and then someone did it in 52, and then 40 people did it by 1957. It was like, once you saw it's possible. But then we opened up our own original show. We were doing archive pieces. We were doing, from at that point, the 40-year history or something. And we got to write the material. And then Jeff Chetty got told by a few people, clients of his, hey, you should go out and see this show. There's there's people on there are good. And then he was like, hey, you should audition for SNL. You should put together a tape. And I was like, all right. So we, put a tape together and then sent it there. And then, in August of 2003, I got flown out to audition. And Tracy Morgan had just left, and a fellow named Dean Edwards had just not got picked up. And so, they're both black fellows. So they weren't really, out of the 12 people in my audition, 7 or 8 were black guys, and then it was all guys. It was, and then it was me. That's where I met Rob Riggle, who was from the same hometown, literally grew up right near me.
Right.
I'm sitting outside talking about Kansas City. He's like, "Are you talking about Kansas City?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "I'm from Kansas City." And I'm like, "What? Where?" And then we got down to streets, 95th and Knoll. I'm 98th and Knoll. It was crazy, because I thought the only place that you came from when you did improv or sketch was the Chicago experience, but he had lived in New York and gone through the UCB program. So it was really neat to meet him, and we've been friends ever since. And then, I went in, auditioned at Stand Up New York. Chris Rock went on before me, popping in to him and Jeff Ross were coming in to work on material for his monologue for the Video Music Awards. And I had this great moment with him. I just told someone the story recently. I'm sitting there, I'm waiting, I'm about to go next, and I had a rum and coke just to like steady my nerves. And I'd never done stand up, like I'd hosted improv games and stuff like that. But the material I knew fairly well because a bulk of it was stuff that I've been doing at the Second City show. So it was, that wasn't like I was well off book and all that. And he looks at me and he's about to go on. I go, "Are you about to go up?" And he's like, "Yeah." I thought he was just there to watch, because it's like a full crowd. And then Lauren and Tina and producer Steve Higgins and Mike Shoemaker in the back, watching curiously. And he goes, "Oh man, are you about to do your thing?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Is this your big chance?" I go, "Kinda." He goes, "Sorry about that." Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Rock. The place was fucking bonkers. He goes in. Luckily, I mean, you hear stories about, whoever, Chappelle or Dane Cook or somebody, going on for an hour. Luckily, he only did like 15 minutes, and him and Jeff were clearly, I've asked him in years since, like, what are we doing? And he even said at the beginning, I'm doing, working on material. And then he came off and he walks by me and he looks at me and he goes, "Hey, they love original thought." And I was like, cool. I was like, a little late,
But it's a Zen-like thing to say.
100%. It was lovely. And then the guy's like, "Ladies and gentlemen, Jason Sudeikis." And then I went up and did my thing. And I didn't make the easy joke of like, thanks to Chris Rock for, warming up for opening for me. I was just like, my name's actually pronounced Jason Sudeikis. At least that's how my dad says it. Not that you care. How about some socio-political commentary? And then I just went into this piece that I'd run for like 6 months on the stage and and I know what that did is it kind of gave me my out. I could be like, "Oh, I ate shit because I had to follow Chris Rock."
Well,
So
that's
now
actually
it's like a
kind
flag
of
on the play.
perfect in a way. And you
Exactly.
had a 6-month bit that you'd already rehearsed. So that was, I assume, incredibly written.
Yeah.
And so that's why Lauren would say he's a writer. So
Yeah, and it was all about the writing. It was based on Rick Santorum, like back in the day where he compared homosexuality to bestiality, and when he apologized, he insulted someone else. And so I play a senator who offends gay people, and then in apologizing, to gay people, he offends black people, then he offends Jewish people, and so
But that's hilarious. Well, that's
so-
that's right now. I mean, he's canceling himself as he speaks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can still do that and just not say who it is. And
Right.
and I know from Steve Higgins after I heard it went well. Then you got to do the network test, and that's basically doing the exact same thing on the home base. Like where they do the monologue.
Right.
And then I went back to Vegas, and Chetty was like, "Yeah, I guess it went pretty well." He doesn't know me. I just he just hip pocketed me there. And then I get called, and it's like, "Hey, they want to fly you out. They're thinking about hiring you as a writer." And I'm like, because it's like what I try to say to people is like, it's like winning a gold medal in the triple jump when you are a long jumper. It's like, all right, yeah, I mean, I guess I jump, but I wanted to, all right. And not I was being a dick, I just didn't know any better. And then Lauren brings me out there, and the things you hear is like, he's not gonna, if he hires you, he's not gonna tell you. It'll be some weird oblique thing. He won't ask you anything about the show, so don't worry about that. You don't have to go on and wax poetic about the show.
Right.
I sit down in his office on the 17th floor. Excuse me.
Is that your own urine?
Yeah. I'm just I'm my own Brita. That's what it's quarantine. But it's 2020. You would have told me in late 2019 I'd be drinking my own piss.
That's the way it is, man. That's 2020. I had a vasectomy, and my wife was insecure about that, so we wanted to make sure there weren't any swimmers. I want to get back to your story because yours is better. But I actually drove.
Let's see. They might end the exact same because that's where the turn. No,
I did a drive-by cup of a sample that I made that morning. I don't think that yours ended like this. That's not how It's not how you got on Saturday Night Live.
No.
Filling a cup.
A little different.
And I
said that's what they did in the 70s.
That was when the show. It's Michael O'Donoghue. I remember watching it in college when he said, "Here's my impression of Tony Orlando and Dawn. If Tony Orlando was shoving knitting needles into his eyes," and Dawn is singing behind him, 2 singers, and then he pretends he's shoving needles into. Pretends I have to add that he shoves needles into his eyes, and then he's writhing on the floor screaming, and then they go to fade out to commercial. I believe it was he just kept doing it, and they're singing Candida, I believe.
Yeah, They broke every rule, like to the point by the time our generation came around, it's like, hey, we had this meta idea, and Lauren's like, we did that. It's like
they did
we already
everything.
did that.
Yeah.
Like, the show is such a, in reaction to all the variety shows, and they were taking the piss and satirizing those. And now it's like, it's like the old guard. There's no other show like it. And so, I think he, and understandably so, really loves the tradition and history of that format. And so it's kind of like, if you're trying to take the piss out of it, he's a little bit like, okay, like I've seen this by someone a lot better than you. Sure.
Yeah, and he also will let the host hang themselves if they go, I'm going to run everything this week because that's my shot. And he goes, let him do it.
Yeah, go ahead. We're not going to get canceled.
He also knows how to do it. People go, come on, it's not as good, or whatever the hell people always say every few years.
Yeah.
There's a secret to comedy. Be Lorne Michaels. Know how to do it. And if it doesn't work for a little while, it just finds itself because it's been very special. And you did things
amazing.
on there. Wait, you were on a story that I cut you off of. It was your audition.
Oh,
so yeah.
It's just the meeting with Lauren.
And I have to finish my sperm. I didn't finish my sperm sample.
You want to go first?
You please.
It was simple. It was just the bait and switch. It's like classic, kind of thing where people telling you, don't worry, he's not going to ask you about the show. I sit down in his office and the very first, he's like, how are you doing? I'm like, I'm good. Good audition. He goes, so what generation of the show did you grow up with? And I just went blank. I was like, you're not supposed to ask about the show, man. Like, that was like the one thing I was told is like not to worry about that. And really, the answer that popped in my head first was Eddie Murphy. Like the Eddie Murphy, because that's when I stayed up. I was born in 75.
And you can't say that because that wasn't.
No, because that wasn't his years.
No,
that was Gene Dumanian.
Right.
And so I was like, so then I kind of floundered. I mean, the answer was the one I grew up with, like when I knew what I was watching was, Mike Myers and Dana Carvey and Phil Hartman and Jan Hooks and Victoria Jackson and Nora Dunn, like that era. But I'm blanking and I'm kind of like, oh God, and he bailed me out in just the best way. He just goes, it felt like 2 minutes that I was stammering and it was probably 20 seconds. He goes, oh, that's okay. I didn't watch the show when I didn't work on it either. just gently, and then we made fun of Cirque du Soleil, because I was in Vegas, which is, every other show was that, and he's from Canada. And so we're just like, goofing around about that. And and then I left there and shook his hand and then found out later that night, hey, they're going to hire you as a writer. And I got brought back in and I wrote for almost 2 seasons, auditioned for Weekend Update a couple times. And then got in like sports terms, I felt like I got redshirted. I got to learn the building and how things were working. I got to sort of be mentored by like Tina as on the writing side, and I felt total imposter syndrome. But she was like, "If you can improvise, you can write." And I wouldn't have believed that unless she said it. She went from basically being a hero of mine to a mentor of mine to a friend of mine to a coworker of mine. It was like an amazing journey there. But
so after 2 years, were you a featured player, or did they bring you right in?
No, they brought me in at the end of my second year. The last 3 episodes, I remember calling, getting a voicemail. I was living on 46 between 5th and 6th. Kay was out in LA here, trying to get acting stuff going.
Are you going to throw up?
I don't think so. I don't know what
Save
that
it
was.
for my sperm story, because I'll get to that. I'll be getting to that.
Oh, great, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I should, yeah.
Hearing about Saturday Night Live is probably better. So maybe just...
I don't know.
The sperm thing has a quiet ending, but yours is... I just want to hear what was the first thing you did on there as a performer, and were you a cast member right away?
No, I was made a featured player those last 3 episodes. The very first thing, though, that I did was I feel like I got a sketch on my first 2 episodes, and then the 3rd episode, I got to, I think it was my 3rd episode, I got to play, a person asking questions in the writers, in the audience. I had a monologue. And that was, I think it was Topher Grace, and I made fun of his name. Topher, huh? All right, and then my 4th week, I got to write a Superfans bit with Robert Smigel. Because my uncle George was going to do, it was when Chicago was, the movie was nominated for Oscars. And so, George and Horatio came out on Weekend Update, and I got to sit in a room It was the best, man. Like, I mean, Smigel's like on the Mount Rushmore of comedy writers, much less SNL.
He's a crazy, wonderful guy.
Incredibly sweet dude.
Yeah.
And he was at the keyboard, and I'll be him, and like you're me, and I was just like pitching jokes, and I would just see this. I would just, like, I'd pitch a joke, and he'd just go and type it, and I was just like. Like, it felt like Mike Tyson walking by after a bar fight going, "Hey, nice punch, kid." It was like so thrilling.
Right.
It was a hell of a first month there. I was like, the imposter syndrome still existed. And I also felt, again, like I remember calling Chetty and being like, I think I made the wrong choice, man. Because then I went for Winfrey for a long time. I didn't get anything on the show. But I love rewrites. I love jumping in other people's heads, and
that's the hardest part about doing the show is trying to get your sketches on. I've heard from so many people.
Yeah.
But once you get in that moment and you're part of that moment, which happened with you.
Yeah.
I mean, was that? Would you say that was like 3 years in, 4 years in? Did it take one season or two once you're on camera?
It took at the end. So Lauren putting me in the cast. He called me on that Friday and he goes, "Hey, we're going to move you into the cast. Just these next 3 shows, just write anything you feel like you can score on." And it was just really simple. I was like, "Okay, great. Thank you." And he hung up the phone. I was like, "Thank you for changing my life." All right. And then me and friends went to Chelsea Piers and got day drunk and hit golf balls,
right.
but it wasn't until the next season, I got to come in with, Bill Hader, Andy Samberg, and then a few episodes in, Kristen Wiig. And like that year, the 4 of us just had a vibe, and like we.
Well, you're all good people, and you're all super talented. So
we got along well with each other. We kind of like we all had different slots. Like we all were different in a way, but I mean, and it was really neat to be part of that generation. And then like Fred and Forte were kind of in between Seth and like our generation, so they kind of like it was.
Yeah.
I mean, I had the best seat in the house of what I believe is one of the greatest like times of that show, and that's on camera. I mean, our writing staff was bonkers too. It was like Mulaney and Simon Rich and Jost. It's you can't again be the dumbest person in the room. Like and just play catch up. Like just try to keep up. Like that's the trick. I've been so fortunate to be part of ensembles like that, including the family that I was born in, much less the things I auditioned for, and even, I think Ted Lasso, the same kind of thing, which I had a little bit more to like, I could help.
Yeah, I've got a lot to talk to you about that. I hope you don't.
But I want to go to the sperm story.
I'll finish the sperm and then we'll take a quick break because I need to give another sample. But I'm glad you're drinking while I'm telling this because it makes it all the better for you.
What did I have? What did I drink 2 nights ago? Really?
Oh my God, it's in your urine. It's like sea monkeys in there. I see, brine shrimp are being brought back to life.
Something.
Yeah, they can come out of your penis. I think. I'm not sure.
I bet. I bet. We'll get. You do a fact check at the end of every episode,
very end,
right?
I do a whole thing of can you bang a brine shrimp, and you have to have a very microscopic penis. It almost is. It's like you have a pin dick. I mean, literally, of a needle. Yeah. But what happened to me was this is just 2 days ago. I had to make sure because my wife was concerned that I had swimmers because I always thought I was a fertile guy, I like my lawn looking good. So, wow, I'm bringing Norm Crosby back so bad. So what happened was are you as lonely as I am right now? It's really.
No, I mean, a little bit, but I have those kids running around.
My wife's in the other room and 2 of my daughters, I haven't seen in a year. They're coming in a couple weeks. So that's good.
Nice.
Yeah. So back to sperm, which is how they started.
Exactly.
I had to get it. It had to be fresh. You want it off the pier. So I had the cups. I bought from Amazon 20 cups. Like I'm going to do this every day. And I just
never know.
It was early morning. I had to take care of it myself. It's like, I didn't like it. It's the worst, but I'm doing it at home at least, not in an office. Emailing the guy, and he starts emailing me back. I'll be there. Come whenever you want. In quotes. I'm like, oh
no.
Yes. And I got the guy if you need him. But anyway, so, I mean,
just
talk to me 10
like
years,
writer,
15
just for
years.
like if I host a award show, I want this guy on my.
Once we're all back, everybody's going to be fucking everybody. It's going to be one giant orgy. It's going to be nuts. So I'm carrying this thing. I got it in the cup holder in a bag, taped up with my name. I said, I'm going to put my fake name for the hospital. He went, no, you can put your real name. I'm going to look at it myself. And I'm like, oh God, what does that mean? Is he going to do something with it? Is he a weirdo? And so I had it in a cup holder. And then I drive there literally an hour after delivery. And I don't like doing that. And doing it in a cup is just sad. It's just sad.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I hand it to him. And I'm always myself. I can't help it. And I like to make people laugh. I'm wearing a mask. There's a guy at the front door of the urology center. He's like a guard with a mask and a clipboard. He said, "Who is it?" I went, "Well, it's Robert Saget." And then he looks up, and then the mask, the duck mask, doesn't cover. And then I said, "It's okay." I texted the doctor. So the doctor comes out, and he goes, "How you doing?" I went, "Well, there ain't a lot in here." So they started laughing. I said, I think it's pretty much full of my tears. Meaning, in order to give this sample, I'm just crying. So I think it's mostly tears, very little semen is basically what I'm saying. And so I said, he said, I don't need much. I'm like, what? Is he making an omelet? Is this like, truffle paste?
Yeah,
So,
just a little dab will do you, is what they say.
Real cream. So he, real steam. So what happened? Norm Crosby. So he then texted me quite soon after and said, "You're fine, but you can have more kids if you want, because they do have the activity. So you could draw from your inside of your," I don't know what they do. They go in there and get it from before it would go out where it's severed, where the bridge lifted up, that the boat can't go under. They could get it before the bridge. I don't know. It's a bad metaphor.
From the locker room.
Exactly, from off the floor, which is going to take us to Ted Lasso, because I'm obsessed with this damn show.
You've been very kind.
I'm not. I am.
No, you have been. I mean, you were early on. That's how, I reached out and was just thank you for shining your light on us.
But who even does that? You're so nice and thoughtful, and you direct messaged me, and I was retweeting Ted Lasso quotes on your Ted Lasso page. Do you do those, or is there a writer involved that does that?
We early on at the beginning, during the run of the show, I would look at all of them. I would do some. I would, if I saw something that I thought Ted would retweet, like a fun, story or an interesting story, I would send those in to one of our writers' assistants, Sasha Garon and Matt Kerr. They sort of house those, but then they would send me all the tweets that were written, and I'd either rewrite them or just okay them.
Well, they're so inspiring. I'm going to get into that, and I also have some more SNL questions and one more thing about Bernie Brillstein. So we'll take a quick break. Watch this. Here comes the break. Listen up, fellas. We all know 2020 sucked. It's New Year's, new balls with our sponsor, Manscaped. Manscaped, it's the best in men's below-the-belt grooming, offering precision-engineered tools for your family jewels and helping 2 million men all over the world get rid of hair on their balls. When those balls drop in New York, if they are going to, in Times Square, when that happens, if it does, you want those balls to drop hairless. If you let yourself go in 2020 while in quarantine, Manscaped is here for you to reboot and stay clean and shaved in 2021. That's right, it's the year of the clean ball. Let me just tell you, 2020 was difficult. It was rough. We walked around in sweats. I'm still in them, but I've got a fancy shirt on and a tie and a hat. The world has been upside down. But if you're ever upside down and standing on your hands or on your head and someone's in the house, like your partner, you want them to see a clean set there, just standing there glistening in the sun. Or if you're just sitting by a reading lamp, reflecting off of those balls, all shaved and cleaned up for the new year. Bring in the new year for clean, beautiful balls. Manscaped is here to give you a fresh start in 2021 with their Perfect Package 3.0 that has all the right tools for the job. Come out of quarantine with clean balls thanks to the Lawnmower 3.0. This waterproof and skin-safe trimmer will reduce nicks to your two best friends. And if you only have one, clean that one up. Make that one look nice. Don't feel lonely that you've only got one. The third generation trimmer even has a light to give you the glow up you need in 2021. It's like a disco ball. It's also time to freshen up down there this New Year's. The Crop Preserver is an anti-chafing ball deodorant and moisturizer. You already put deodorant on your armpits.
All right, which is I'm going to take a break right there. Tired kids are getting ready to get home from school, so we'll take a break. And after a nap and some dinner, and we'll be back for tonight's normal nightly stream. Thank you for tribute stream to Bob Saget. Probably not as popular with my younger viewers as he was with me, but he meant a lot to me growing up. So, into his podcast felt a lot like. Oh, I played games I played when I was young enough to enjoy him on television. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Be sure to follow the socials. They're above my head here. Twitter will let you know when I go live. It should be sometime between 10 and 11 tonight. And we'll go for as long as I can stomach it. I'll be doing some Overwatch, maybe some Minecraft, and I'm open to any other game. So, with me, play some games with me, talk, chat. Tell me your best Bob Saget story. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you. Have a good one, everybody.